and then it gets paid off, and then it's 150 billion, and then it gets paid off, and then it's a whatever. And I'm going, I want to know that number. Is it going up? Well, then you find out that John Sneesen is talking to Tim and saying, let me tell you what's happening. What they're doing. Oh yeah, and the live stream is working. The first hour will go to live stream, and we had to restart the stream computer, so whatever. Now, so you're missing the break stuff. Now, so John says, they're doing a 14-day, a 30-day. This is accumulating. This is your quantitative easing. Correct me where I'm wrong. Explain it better. Tim, go.
Yeah, I mean, right now they are directly monetizing all the debt. I mean, not all the debt, but a good portion of the debt, meaning that, the only reason we're able to maintain the system is because we are a banana republic that is having to buy our own debt. Now, I just looked up what the reserve requirement was, because I thought it was 10%, and it is 10%. If you're a bank that has less than $124 million, then it's 3%. And if you're a bank with less than 16 million, then it's actually 0%. There is no requirement. So I guess that would be the only caveat, which I didn't even know that until right now. That if you start a bank,
that'd be like credit unions.
It's just
if you're a small bank, you don't have to have reserves,
right? Like a credit union or something is what you're saying.
I don't know.
Well, it just has to do with 16. If you've got less than 16 million, it doesn't matter if you're a credit union.
Well, I'm just saying, because some people I've heard
$16 million bank. I have a $16 million bank. I want to be a $16 million.
Well, I've heard people saying that I've heard about that 10% limit already, and even my father was even chatting about this. Where if you have money like in Wells Fargo or such, that if you have over a certain amount of money in there, then they're only going to be required to pay you back X amount when they put a banking holiday on it, like they've done in other countries, and they'll probably do here. So therefore, the more money you have in a bank that doesn't have to keep that much money on file, then you're out. So the idea was maybe going with a smaller bank that doesn't have as many problems. But if you go with a credit union or a smaller bank, according to what you're saying now, is that they even have a lower requirement, if any requirement at all, to have anything held. Is that correct?
True. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. So there's no advantage even doing that.
In your camera, it has this. This is from, I don't know, should I say? It was Tim Fry, Roberts. He had a bunch of these made.
I can't see it in my camera. So,
okay. Well, wait. Well, here.
All right, now I see it. Yep.
The banker one, it's just a bank, and he made this, then because he can, it was just funny that it got in the frame.
so I have since this is the Trump report, and we all just love Trump, right? And we just love him. So
and there was 170 last night, $170 billion.
What was?
Okay, now 170 billion that they added into the system from the Fed. Now,
all right.
What John Sneesen was talking about.
We'll get back to Trump in a second. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, John Sneesen, what he was talking about is he was saying that now they have to where it's not just an overnight thing, that they can do it for a week or a month or whatever, so that 100 and whatever billion can accumulate, and you're saying that we don't get to see the reporting of that for 2 years.
I'm not saying that. Jerome Powell is saying that. So yeah.
Okay, so I mean that's what's happening, right? So they're borrowing money that they don't have to report for 2 years, and they get to have it accumulate for a week note, a month note. They could drag this out. It could be gazillions of dollars if you're $100+ billion a day now. 10 days, that's like $1 trillion. Right? 30 days, that's what? 3 trillion, 30 trillion, a lot of trillions. So this is within a month, you could be unlimited amount of we're screwed. Right? Right? Am I wrong?
Now we own everything. I mean, that's why, what was it? Franklin.
It's all ours now.
Yeah.
I love the three of us here. Tim gets into the weeds. Ernie goes to the assumption that everybody knows all this, and I'm sort of like the layman, kind of playing it from the audience point of view.
I'm skipped to the end.
No, I know.
Can they? We all have they create as much money as they want to give to their buddies so that they can do whatever Yes. Well, guess what? They are, okay? Can they? Yep.
One of the questions I have, this is more of a big picture question, is I know with this audience we've heard people like Schiff and Peter Schiff, not the ass Adam, but Charles Goyette and many others talk about between the lowering of interest rates and before, and the QE1, QE2. We've watched this whole debacle evolve over the last 10 years, especially with Ron Paul,
all the way to the not QE.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious who's talking about this now? I'm glad you're on the air now. I brought it up at the Christmas party, and I'm just amazed that
it was a great Christmas party too.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
It's raining.
I just haven't heard much about it, and I know you're going to say it's by design, but who have you heard? Peter Schiff? Is there others talking about what you're mentioning? Because I have not heard it much in the milieu. I'm sure some people in this audience are going, "Welcome to the party," and they're probably watching or listening to other videos. But have you where? Is this now just starting to come out that this is the new bait and switch that they're using? When did they start this? Is this by design to be hidden?
It was always there. If they those needed to do, they're going to do it. And this is just their
I get that,
method
Ernie.
du jour, man.
I get that, Ernie. But like Tim said immediately, the point is they figured out that printing money was bad. Then they came up with QE as a way around it. They didn't probably count on this thing called the internet and YouTube, which basically exposed a lot of it with people like Peter Schiff and others. Now we have Tim Picciott and Freedom's Phoenix, and we all talk about QE, but we haven't heard about it for good reason. They knew to change it. It's eating venison or veal, right? It's rather than eating a little baby lamb or something.
But veal is venison.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So when did they start this bait and switch in the lexicon, Tim? Is it just how long have they been doing this, and when did they change the terminology?
I mean, the Fed's always been great at saying the least amount as possible and the most amount of words, using big words
right.
to everybody.
I get that.
Pretty much been their MO since the beginning. But yesterday, actually, I trolled God Emperor Trump yesterday, where actually it was his. So Donald J. Trump shared on Facebook, what probably his team did, but it was a FoxBusiness.com article. It says Dow gains 10,000th point since Trump's election, and I wrote in there, it was all glowing reports of Trump, and I wrote in there, if I wanted $1 trillion deficits in a Fed manipulated stock market, I would have voted for Hitler. Yeah, I said Hitler. But then you're asking about big people that are talking about this stuff. I was listening to.
Wait, Tim. I'm going to interject just 1 second. This is why I'm asking.
Well, hurry up. I need him to answer.
For many ways with me, I've been sitting back waiting for QE, the next QE to start, because in many ways, that would be the beginning of the end of the last cycle. That's why it's so important to me to figure out when they started this. Whatever they called it, I don't care. I'm trying to figure out when they started this new QE. When?
September 15th-ish.
Okay, that's all I want to know. So September 15th is when they started this next
Well, then when we come back, we're going to let Tim tell us what the hell they started on September 15th. What the hell?
That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Well,
we're still screwed.
RV, road trip. We'll be right back. Tim Picciott, Trump Report, Frank Denbury.
I'm a little obsessed with my man.
Okay.
Well, what sucks is you guys are going and doing like an RV thing right as I'm going to be moving closer to you guys.
This is. Oh, are you guys all locked in on it? Oh yeah, you're going to move in. See, you bought a house right when. I know you just got to keep domestic bliss. I know how it works. But well,
there was an article on.
You're going to be an example.
Yeah, well, there was an article on Drudge yesterday that was actually talking about Phoenix real estate made it to Drudge in regards to something about. Let's see here. Yeah, so once affordable, Phoenix rents among fastest rising in the U.S. And this was on Drudge.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there is something to be said when we're talking to the kids. If they were like, no, we got to go buy. You don't understand, Dad. That kind of thing. And I'm going. The big thing is interest rates. Because you got a high principal, but your monthly payment is a lot lower but then you got, if you can wait until the prices go down. So I'm counting on, one, you're right, rentals price goes up. The time to sell a home, I think, is now. But to buy may be less. But I think I'm best off just waiting it out. And
I mean, if you've got the RV and you've got people coming in here from California and all these other places that have been destroyed, and so it's the California influx is really, and the low interest rates are, it might be more localized where maybe California real estate goes down, New York goes down, San Francisco goes down, Chicago goes down, and then maybe
Phoenix and Las Vegas are always and Florida. It's always the Sun Belt. It's Las Vegas, Phoenix, Southern California, and Florida,
North Carolina,
and they take a dump. And when that happens, but they're usually one of the first ones to come back. So I'm I'm looking right now is about going to be. It's like 2008, and then it's going to be the crash, and then it was a year or two, and then it was like 2011, and our kids bought their homes. Then they're in their 20s, and they're selling homes and making gazillions of dollars, and then bought another one and did well, and then they're selling. Now most of them rent. And the reason is because they're sitting on cash waiting for this next cycle again. So I'm going, and right when that happens is buying becomes attractive, rent goes really high, you have principals going to be like, yada, 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 yada. So I got to practice what I preach, but I'm also committed up here and to other people that we're going to hit the road and we're going to take advantage of this flux in our society and culture and everything to the point that I think there's another awakening coming, and this economic thing is going to do it, and it's going to hit me, and we're going to take the show on the road and, build an activist thing, and it's going to be a few months. I mean, I got things to do. I got to get big storage containers out here and start pimping them out, so when I do find a place, I plop it, boom, I got everything there, build and rock and roll and whatnot. But I got to have my occupancy permit. I'm sorry. Did you get your permission slip from the Crown for you to have a place to dwell? I'm going, well, I could live on the sidewalk, I guess. They go, yeah, you can do that. That's okay.
Yeah,
it's craziness. It's craziness. All right. So when we come back, it's September 15th. What happened? And I'm going, I can tell you what happened. They got a bunch of money. Well, that wasn't enough. They need to do it more than overnight. So then it goes to a week. Then it goes to a month. This does not surprise me. They're always yanking some crap out of their butt. All right? This is it. And people, they'll talk in highfalutin words about, and Zero Hedge will say, and I'm going, look, somebody get a bumper sticker for this for me. I mean, this is not that hard. They're just trying to prevent what happened to Lehman, and drag this out until they don't want to, until they go, everybody all in, it's ours now, and don't vote for Trump. I can see it coming. All right, here we go.
It's about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
There are those that just want to be left alone, and those that just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? The Ernest Hancock Show.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey! Woo! With Dr. Frank Cambury doing Trump Report. Well, we're going to keep going until we're done with the Trump reporting because we haven't got the Trump report yet. But, we have Tim Pachote explain it to us because I think I understand. I mean, I got a superficial understanding of they need to have a reserve. They don't have the liquidity in the market is gone. They don't have the money and it's gone. And we just need to keep printing more money so they got money. And then you're runaway in Zimbabwe and that kind of thing. But, how do we hide it? What do we call it? And all this kind of, well, it's not a secret. The Federal Reserve just said, look, you need more money to me instead of borrowing it from the other banks and getting a demerit for borrowing it from us because nobody will lend it to you. We'll just have it to where, everybody just gets it from us, so it's all good. Well, how much do the system, we don't want to know, pick out anybody like Deutsche Bank is, coughing up blood. So we don't want to have, a run on anything on the whole system, which is what be happening. And you got Russia and China out there going, but all they want is they got deals. They got deals with the IMF and the World Bank, and they're all the same thing. If you're trying to say they're competition, no, they're not. They're just negotiating for a seat at the big mahogany table of we rule everybody. This is not a different competition. Crypto's a competition. They're freaking out about that one. But the BRICS, that's just another who can blame something. We'll make a deal. So what happens is they go, all right, we need this money. The Federal Reserve says you can borrow it from us overnight. Well, that's not enough. We need more. And faster, and we don't want people to know about it. And we want it to, you got 2 years to report that you did it, and you can do it for a week, or we got a month one here. Well, those accumulate, and within a month, you could have trillions of dollars added into the system. Then what? I don't know.
And no one knows for 2 years.
And they don't know. This is just, they're always yanking something out of their butt, but, I don't know how much they can hide it. Now, September 15th, something happened, Tim. What happened then? What'd you do? What happened?
Well, by coincidence, it was also the anniversary of Lehman Brothers going down 11 years earlier.
Oh, of course it was.
Which was also my first day on the job. And so, yes, you see my plaque behind there. It says September 15th, 2011, which was actually the when I became a CFP. So it's funny that this day has always somehow been in my life. But that is a day that, the day before was the day the Iranian drone strike supposedly happened. that then all of a sudden shot oil prices up. So my initial speculation is that people were on the wrong side of that trade. However, now after the fact, Ernie's 2 weeks. In this case, it took, about 3 months to figure out what happened. It looked like JP Morgan, and I mentioned this earlier, not sure if we were on air, but JP Morgan shifted their fixed income assets from these shorter term loans, which counted as collateral for their 10%, into longer term bonds, which then didn't count as collateral. So now they didn't have the money to lend. And then that sent everything into chaos. And then the Federal Reserve, as Ernie's already pointed out, opened up their discount window to basically everybody. So then that way we don't know who's actually behind all this. But Dr. Frank in the previous segment was asking about, who else is talking about this. Yesterday, I was listening to a interview on CNBS with Jeffrey Gundlach, who is the head of Double Line Capital. He's referred to now as the Bond King. That used to be a moniker that they gave Bill Gross of PIMCO, formerly of PIMCO. So now he's known as the Bond King. In my opinion, and actually Peter Schiff's opinion, he must listen to the Peter Schiff podcast because there's certain things that he's stolen directly out of there. But Jeffrey Gundlach sounds a lot like me. And last year he gave a talk right around this time, and it sounded like everything I've been saying for the previous year. I mean, if I had the staff and resources at the time, I was actually going to go through and make a whole compilation video where it was all the same crap I was saying like a year and a half ago. But Jeffrey Gundlach, he's one of the largest bond fund managers in the world, and he sounds a lot like me. I mean, the only person
he
worth
stole
listening
it from
to,
you, Tim. I'll vouch for you.
Yeah, the only person worth listening to on there. Then Ray Dalio, who is the largest hedge fund manager of the world at Bridgewater Capital. I mean, he's talking about how you should start getting into gold and how returns are going to be great. Morgan Stanley recently came out and said, going forward, the 10-year return on the average portfolio is going to be something like I could probably pull it up on Evernote.
Okay, a friend of mine recently was talking about he was doing on shorts. And he says the cost of the options for silver going long is so low that the risk analysis is like he's going, I'm risking, let's say, $100,000 to make $1 million. That almost guaranteed that it's going to. So he's betting against the I guess, the common knowledge of they, them, those or something, thinking that they're going to suppress silver. And I'm going, in a year time, I'm wondering, God, is silver going to go up? I'm thinking so. What would make silver go down? Why, when they're doing all this quantitative, whatever the hell you want to see, we call it quantitative. It's just money printing. They keep changing the name all the time. It's money printing. If they keep doing that, that is going to make precious metals go up unless they've turned it into paper and they do this ETF. What was that? Electronic transfer. What does ETF stand for? I forgot.
Exchange traded fund.
Yeah, exchange traded funds. And that's like how you turn Bitcoin or gold or silver into paper. Well, is that really the price of silver and gold? I think we're going to find that they're not going to be the same. And what you can pick, because you got, a markup. If you have $16 silver, it's going to cost you as much as like $18 to get it, an ounce in the physical form. So there is a difference between the spot price and what you can buy and what you sell it for. And the real economy is going to rear its head. And I'm looking at, a lot of people that know it's going to rear its head. And if you got a long enough time span that you're, betting on options or futures or whatever, you're going, that's like an ATM money. That's just free money there if you have the confidence in what we believe. Why is the market not believing that? What's happened? What do they know I don't know?
Well, I mean, anytime you do options, it is very risky. So, as my financial disclaimer, talk to your own financial advisor about this. If you don't have one, talk to me. But yeah, I mean, with an option, you're essentially buying, and one option contract is worth 100 different, different shares. And so, if you're
leverage yourself a lot.
So if you buy a call option, you're saying, hey, let's say the price. I'm not sure what the price of silver is right now. Let's say it's $16. I want to buy a call option at $20. So right now, your option is basically worthless. However, you may pay a small premium, but then if silver gets up to 22, then you're essentially then buying 100 contracts and you've locked in profit. There's ways to sort of hedge that risk, and maybe you could sell put options. I mean, to hedge different things to your net exposure.
Bigger brain box than I got. But
yeah, so there's different strategies that especially guys like Kirk, who's running our portfolios. I mean, he's an expert in all this stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty dangerous in this stuff as well. I forgot what the initial question is, but
September 15th. What did they do?
Yeah.
more crap that they pulled out of their sleeve, like you were talking about, and and that's the problem, is that absent a 0% interest rate, a lot of this stuff would have already gone down. If we had transparency in the market, the stuff would have already happened. But a lot of the stuff just gets literally papered over or digitized over.
So did this thing you were talking about, the 10% or the 2 year they can hide it? I'm sorry, I'm not being articulate with it. Did that begin around mid-September? Is that what you're referring to?
What Dr. Frank is saying is he has the best words. I've got the absolute best, most presidential words ever. But yeah, I mean, so Jerome Powell came out and said maybe like a month ago that we won't find out for another 2 years. He didn't say that right out of the gates. But yeah, initially there was the Fed stepped in and basically said, hey, we find out that, you guys pay 10% overnight. Yeah, I mean, our average, slave citizen over here, doesn't matter if they're paying 17 or 20% of their credit card for a year or 2 or 3 or 4. But oh my God, the banks, didn't want to actually out themselves and didn't have money. So we need to step in and in the socialist communist system that we have, or probably actually more fascist system that we have, we need to save the market. And so, it just reminds me of the same crap George W. Bush was doing, in order to save the free market.
Right, so it was around the same time. Look, this is kind of an interesting aside, but when you do magic tricks, for instance, they say there's only like the same 5 magic tricks. There's like a disappearance, there's a transmutation. There's just only a handful of real tricks. You just come up with creative ways to pull them off.
You can make all the Tea Party disappear. Watch me. Like
there we go. And when you deal with the Federal Reserve, at the end of the day, when I try to explain to people all this technical, which you could go all day with, Tim, at the end of the day, there's only 2 things there's only 2 tricks. It either lowers interest rates and prints money. That's pretty much it. They have all sorts of unique ways to flourish it and make it look real cool and hide it and change the different terms. But that's really the only 2 shots that they have. So you're just saying they found a new way, mid-September,
they can
to
also
repackage printing the money.
It's not a new way. They've done it before, but they can also lower the reserve requirement. They can start just airdropping money to everyone's bank accounts. I mean, what is
going to trigger the hyperinflation? What do you think is the one thing? Is it one thing?
Pensions. Chicago pensions blown up.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the pensions.
Then corporate bonds being downgraded, and then the ETFs being forced to liquidate out of their.
Okay, wait. Go to live stream. Go to live stream right now. We're going to talk about. Don't even Kenny stay after. I'm not letting him go. All right, here we go.
Cryptocurrency.
All right. Pensions. So we haven't even talked about that yet. Because this is what I've been saying. I go.
Luckily, I'm playing tennis later on today, because usually this is my tennis time. So we'll.
All right. We don't want to get into your tennis time. Yeah. This is what's going on. I've looked at this when I saw it happen here in the city of Phoenix. What happened in Arizona, libertarians would use rural metro as a big example. This was for decades, this is a thing. Until the end of the 90s or so. It's been like, 20 years goes by really fast. But early 2000, I think it was before it was like 2000, before 9/11. The city of Phoenix came out and they said they passed an initiative that was pushed by the unions, the police and fire unions, that said the city of Phoenix will never, ever, ever, forever and always never hire a private company to provide police or fire services. And then they did their best to kill Rural Metro. Rural Metro was a private company that had emergency EMT services and fire suppression, whatever, because people, wealthy individuals, bought land out in the middle of the nothing in the desert in Scottsdale area. They might be in the city of Scottsdale, but the city of Scottsdale, well, we're going to have to raise taxes if you want to have fire cover. They go, nah, we're good. We'll just privately contract. So what they did is they go, yeah, we pay a monthly fee, and it was, for emergency services. If you didn't subscribe, hey, I need now somebody put out my life sucks, man. You're not on the list. Now we're ever so sorry. Or we'll do it, but you're signing this contract. Yeah, we'll put out that fire sign here. That'll be, $4,000 or something, right? So the free market did this because the insurance rates on your home, whether you did or did not have fire service, it was cheaper for you, especially if you had a mortgage, that you had to have. So the free market took care of this. So rural metro was a big example that we would use, all over the country. Say, well, in Arizona, we got rural metro. If you want fire suppression, you just pay for it. If you don't want to pay tax, whatever, and you move here and peace out. Well, they tried, I can't believe they didn't save this one, drowning, whatever, because it was all kinds of poster children that they would come up with some reason for you can't have private fire suppression. So then they were successful in getting Scottsdale to undo that and hire and unionize the rural metro. So the city bought them up or did something, and then all of a sudden all these rural metro employees became union. And they got, their bennies and all this kind of stuff. Then the city of Phoenix, they came in, they go, boom. By ordinance, you can't have private security or fire suppression because the government doesn't like competition. Competition's a sin. You're not allowed. Well, then they put all these new employees and everything, and they passed legislation saying that the first money that comes in as a revenue stream from the taxes goes to pay pensions. This is all a pension thing. Then they get 8% a year in credit. I mean, it was enormous. People are, man, woohoo, they're making bank retiring as police and fire. So this is what's going to break us. And I look at that and I'm telling you, man, they're just building it up for support. That is their base of, financial support for candidates. That's, the guys that go put up the signs. Endorsed by firemen mean they, took their, they're on 48 off 24. So they're out, or on 24 off 48 or something like that. So they got plenty of time. You get the endorsement of firemen. They're putting up your signs. That's what that means, okay? So I'm going, okay, I see how this is working. So the pensions, those are going to get, so what do we see? Now the federal pension thing is going. They're going to need a bailout. Indiana, Illinois, all these different states, bailout. New Jersey, bailout. Cities here like Phoenix, bailout. This, when the pensions go, it's going to be they, them, those, and all their minions that they promised whatever is not going to have no money. And they're going to be, but we get it from the taxpayer, and we're cranking it up on property this, and we're doing that, and we're gonna, and the sheeple's going to be paying it, and we're livestock. So I'm going, when the pensions go, what are they going to do? They're going to shift it to us to have to fully fund and benefit of they, them, those that have been ripping us off. And I saw it happen in like 05, 06 when the pensions for airline employees, pilots and unions and so on, that they didn't have enough money to pay their pensions, so they had to take a reduction in their benefits, and they had to have federal do it. And there was some, federal required bank reserve that they had, and that's gone. I mean, all this is going to happen again, and when it does, it's going to be blanket across the spectrum. And if you got money in a pension or your 401, whatever, moron, in my opinion. Now, Tim may be planning whatever the hell he's doing with his clients and stuff and got a plan, but the pension thing, when that goes, that's the end of the end. I don't know if that's a beginning of nothing. All the beginning stuff is happening already. So
beginning of the end.
I'd say we're definitely at the end of the beginning. I can guarantee that. So pensions, that's when I think it's going to go. So how far off am I, Tim? Explain it.
Well, I mean, I told you I thought pensions would be the one to cause it to collapse. So, it's exactly, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. And, I mean, part of this whole ripple effect is I knew that I think Glendale did something similar to what Phoenix did. And so I'm like, screw it. I'm not moving into the city of Phoenix. I'm also not moving to Glendale, which is funny because our new house location would be like basically right on the border of both. I mean, basically across the street would be technically being Phoenix, and Glendale is pretty much on the other side of the street. So
what are you, surprised or something, or
it'll be Peoria?
Well, they're all as bad.
Well,
they just haven't caught up yet.
They haven't written that. I mean, well, the problem is Glendale also has all the sports stadiums, which you were at the front lines of complaining about that before I even lived here.
Yeah, which is now, it wasn't an asset. They guaranteed the teams that they didn't move, they get whatever $40 million one time. They had to come up one year to pay the team just for having it there. And I'm like, what?
They pay like
ridiculous.
Then it's like they pay, I don't know, like something stupid like $180 million for spring training for like the Dodgers or something. I mean, just stupid crap.
Stupid.
I mean, then the hockey rink that nobody gives two shits about here, that they're even talking about them moving, and then the baseball stadium. They need a new one of those. But yeah, I mean, the police and firefighters. I mean, and I also hate how the firefighters get dragged into the conversation with the police. I mean, yeah, the pensions. Yeah, I can see that one.
Guns and Hoses. They got their own group. It's called Guns and Hoses.
So
Seriously, they're doing it together.
So
While the unions.
I have two questions for you, Tim. One is crypto. One is Trump. Now I'm going to bring up a crypto question. Now I'm going to ask Ernie, do your best. I don't want to go down a whole hour thing of crypto and blah, blah, blah. I just want to get a rough idea. We're talking about how the main banks are preparing for maybe what's coming and maybe certain signs and symptoms you're seeing that they're getting ready for it. And I know, obviously, in our world, crypto is a big deal, and some people, have more trust in it than others, and that's fine.
Options,
but we're talking about the options earlier with these banks, but I've seen or heard that some of the mainstream banks are somewhat publicly, often behind the scenes, investing in their own crypto or doing their own crypto assets or programs or something. You would know more about it. And is that more of a harbinger that the mainstream banks see what's coming and they're bracing with crypto as a kind of a plan B? I mean, are you seeing that more or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think that crypto can be used as a tool of control, or it can be used as a tool of freedom, or it can be also used to make the bank processes more efficient inside the banks, and it's probably going to be more towards the way of control and that side of things. But banks are using, like JP Morgan has their own coin where they're using.
Okay, so JP Morgan's one of them. All right.
But it's between their own, major institutional clients so it's not for the layperson yet. But I mean, you can have different trading systems, whether it's something like T0, which, Ernie's talked about quite a bit on the show, to make stock trading more efficient. You're already seeing firms like, a lot of my clients' assets are custodied at TD Ameritrade, which actually just got bought by Schwab, which, I'm still waiting to see what the deal with that is. However, both places have trading fees that are now at zero. And they're at zero because there's different technology that pretty much allows them they make money elsewhere in other facets of the business. But yeah, I mean, I see this being embraced, and I've somewhere on my website, and I'm trying to actually find it because I don't have this all memorized, but I believe somewhere actually I did list a lot of the companies and a lot of major institutions that are getting in on this. But whether it's JP Morgan, the Industrial Commercial Bank of China, the Chinese Construction Bank, the Bank of China, the Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Apple, Royal Dutch Shell. So I've got a whole list of the biggest companies in the world that are invested into blockchain technology: Toyota, Samsung, BNP Paribas, Microsoft, Starbucks, Allianz, Alphabet / Google, Walmart, Daimler, Banco Santander, AXA, Comcast, Mitsubishi, Anheuser-Busch, InBev, RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, Pfizer, Nestle, Intel, Morgan Stanley, Siemens, Amazon.com, ING, Goldman Sachs, Intercontinental Exchange, the owners of the New York Stock Exchange, Prudential, Ford, IBM, Walt Disney, MetLife,
and
Alibaba,
Chuck E. Cheese.
AIA, Tencent Holdings, Oracle, almost done. BHP, Billabong, Mitsu Financial Group, and American Express are all major companies that are all invested into this. And you got the Ethereum Alliance that has a whole bunch of other big companies that are involved with it. So yeah.
Okay, so these companies are meant. I appreciate that. It's kind of what I was looking for. Those companies, are they all investing in Ethereum and Bitcoin, or are they more and more often involved in their own internal blockchain technology for communication, or for
those companies? Those companies I just listed are the ones that are probably more investing in blockchain technology to make things more efficient within, and probably different private blockchains within their own company. Now there's also an Ethereum enterprise Ethereum Alliance, and that's companies like Accenture, AMD, BBVA, Bank BNY Mellon, Citi Ventures, Cognizant, Cisco Systems, Deloitte, DocuSign, Depository Trust, the DTCC, Ernst & Young, Fujitsu, FacePay, First National Bank, blah, 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 JP Morgan, John Hancock, Microsoft, PwC, Rutgers University, Scotiabank, and VMware, to name a few. And then you've got the Libra Alliance, which, I'm not sure if this is 100% up to date. I did update it a little while ago, aka I dropped a bunch of names off it. But yeah, then with Libra, and this might not be 100% accurate now because I haven't kept up necessarily with everyone that's dropped off, but PayU, eBay, Calibra, this is a smaller list because a lot of the big boys have dropped out of Libra, and I'm at this point I'd be even skeptical of Libra even becomes a thing.
So when I deal with prostate cancer patients, one of the first things I always ask is, first is like, do I got prostate cancer? And I always say, don't put an R in there. And then I say, well, have you heard we have cancer all the time? They say, yeah, heard that. I say, okay, so your question is not do you have prostate cancer? Your question is, am I going to die soon? And how long do I have until it's a problem? So we talk about what I say, the canaries in the cage and the coal mine. What are the three main indicators? I won't go into them on the show right now, but indicators that you're getting close to a problem, and the canary stops singing and they start, coughing before they turn into the old Dead Polly sketch, right? That's sort of what we're looking at. So in your world, what do you see are some of the canaries in the coal mine? Ernie brought up a great point regarding the pensions is maybe one of them. Maybe blockchain, maybe a push towards blockchain might be a kind of their ace in the hole. What are some other canaries that you think that we're looking for the audience to listen to, if you're going to make a list of them?
Maybe I got to tease some stuff because I think I'm coming on tomorrow too, so I'm going to have something to talk about tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, let's not give up everything.
So I didn't know you were doing that. I'm taking all your thunder now, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah, so maybe we'll have you come on.
Yeah, but it's this is not live show here, so those are on the stream.
No one's going to listen to
this.
No one's listening to this, Tim. Don't worry about it. So it's just you and I.
Well, we've got the repo market that we're talking about. I mean, that's a catalyst, and obviously things are going great. You've got the corporate bond market that I mentioned before, where I think there's over $10 trillion in corporate bonds, and now a lot of these bonds are rated BBB, meaning that's the lowest quality of investment grade. Now, if a bond goes from BBB to BB, now all of a sudden there is forced pressure selling from all the mutual funds and ETFs,
because they're required to have a certain rating to even invest in them, and that's why they need S&P and Moody's and everything to give these ratings, because if they go below a certain like a AAA rating is what the pensions in California and all that kind of stuff, they have to have that. That's why they need that rating thing, and they pay for that. And Moody's and these guys are part of the problem. They just go, well, it had the performance over the past months of the year of blah 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 blah. We give it a AAA so that the big giant tons of money can go into it, and it's gone.
And if you don't play ball, then we'll come and have the IRS audit your Moody's, and we'll just make it so you can't.
It's all a freaking system.
And by the way,
corruption.
Warren Buffett is one of the biggest owners, and then he also owns a lot of the banks too. So I mean, it's just such a corrupt system that gives people the appearance that things are going great. And so there's gonna be a lot of forced selling when that happens. I mean, who knows? Maybe when the interest gets to be $1 trillion and the interest rate and the Fed funds rate is still 0.5%. And so when you're paying $1 trillion of interest at 0.5%, I mean, even the average everyday idiot in America might be able to figure out there's a problem at that point. And the fact they haven't figured out there's a problem now just shows how brain dead people are, and especially now all the former Tea Party people who think everything's going great.
Well, what can mandate that the interest rates go up? What determined? I mean, it's a free market. That's what Volcker did in the early 80s and the beginning of the Reagan administration to save the dollar.
Well, he's dead now, so.
Well, to save the dollar, he was like, yep, interest rates got to go up, and you'll figure it out now. Well, it went to 30-year Treasury was 15, 16%.
He died last week, too. So, I mean, the era of being able to stop this is done. And then you had Jerome Powell. Maybe this is part of the Goonlock interview that I was listening to yesterday. I only listened to like 10 minutes of it. But he had talked about how one of the things that Jerome Powell had said is they asked him, well, when are you going to start raising rates again? And then he basically said, once there's persistent high inflation. So as soon as the inflation genie starts getting out of the bottle, they're not going to try to put him back in the, I mean, not that they can, but they're not even going to try until it's been persistent. So initially they said, oh, the Fed's goal is to make sure there's no inflation. Then it was to make sure there's 2% inflation. And then it was, oh, if it gets over 2, we're going to, start.
Let it run hot.
It's the illusion that you know what it is? It's the illusion they're still in control. That's actually what
exactly.
it is.
That's why they had to say,
oh, well, it's going up. We're going to allow it to go up.
Right. They go, hey, man, when it goes, we're just going to let it go as if we had a choice. Okay?
You should have seen that Goonlock interview, and it's on my Evernote, where Goonlock was just beating up this guy, but rightfully so, on CNBS.
So who's Goonlock?
Goonlock, he's double line. He is known as the Bond King.
The talk show guy he was talking about.
He's like the most influential bond fund manager in the world, hands down. He sounds like me and Peter Schiff, which is which is great because he's like the only person out there that sounds
He's great
like
because he
that.
sounds like me. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's listening to my podcast or Peter's, but yeah, with Gunalak though, I mean, he was calling this guy's BS out there. He's like, I heard that you were, he's like you have been on record that you'd give Jerome Powell a C- or a D, and he's like, isn't that being overly critical? And he just starts tearing this guy apart, and he's like, listen, he's like, 12 months ago, we were told that we're on autopilot. The Fed's going to sell $50 billion a month. And now what, 3 weeks later, he then had the reverse course and everything. And then now they started doing the exact opposite when 3 weeks before he assured us that wasn't going to be the case. So of course, this guy is he has no idea what he's doing. And so, yeah, maybe I'll even give him an F. And so this guy, here he is showing no deference to these jackasses on CNBS which I'm talking about CNBC, who, have no idea what's going on. And they're just there to fawn at the hand of the Federal Reserve, because if they start criticizing the Fed, then maybe they get their press credentials, revoked. And, it's a club. They all know what the deal is. They all know that, you got to play ball with the Fed. And so, all these media guys are all a bunch of whores, and they got a guy like Jeffrey Gunalak.
Tim, we were just talking about this in the first hour about Star Wars and the access media. It's the exact same thing. If you don't play ball and give good reviews to movies, then
I was actually listening to that when I was dropping off my daughter, and then I put Ernie's address in Waze, and it goes, I won't be there till 8:48, and it's gonna be 17 minutes away. I'm just gonna go back, and I don't want to steal Frank's thunder. But I was planning on popping in there.
But it's the same story. But isn't it the same thing? It's like access media. If you don't get on the cheerleader squad, we're not gonna have access to the next one, and your podcast falls apart. It is a bunch of whores all across the board, in media.
That's one thing. I want to make this point.
I
want to make this point. Part of this trip that it's going to be certainly focused on this vaccine thing, because it's not so much whether you're pro or anti-vaccine. That's not the point. It is this mandate of government that they rule and own your children's body. That is not going to be sustainable. I don't see that happening. I want to empower people to just, one, get educated and save the next generation, but also it's a mindset of everything like this. And it's such a good penetrative, and because it's a property right, of your body, so on, that concept will go to property rights. I mean, if it pleases the crown, may I occupy my own land thing. So this is, and it's a good timing with the economy and all. It's really, I know it's a sacrifice for Donna. Donna is not digging this idea. She's warming up to it, and we'll get around it. But she has to be promised. Yeah, in a year we're gonna set ourselves up for where we're gonna stay the rest of our lives, and we'll find a place. And all of this, our whole thing was to get to this point, so that we could leave the world better for our kids and grandkids. And I was of the mind that what was going to happen was pretty clear to me up to 2016. That was what we had planned everything from, because over the 30 years, we were like, that's when our kids were going to be our age when we started this. And I go, by the time our kids are our age, so 2016 was the line. When that happened, we get 2016, Trump gets in there, it's all dark zone to me. I have no idea, what's going to happen, other than when it comes crashing down and people have the realization, that's the opportunity. But it's also the opportunity for the bad guys. It can go either way. And it may go both ways, that there's going to be a culling of a they, them, those, and all their people, and the damnation of, and the civil war of the kind of I don't care, and then a consolidation of philosophy over here. That we're all good because we're not in that. We're more self-sustaining. We know how, the raise chickens, whatever it is, that we're insulated from that. Well, they, them, those can't stand that. They don't want you to be successful. They need fear, uncertainty, and doubt that you need that. Why they need us. And they'll do terror, war, pestilent, whatever the hell they, them, those need to do to accomplish that and keep you enslaved up here. And part of that is they have to, my biggest fear was they have to change us. There's something they got to do to change us. They got to make us sick. They got to make our minds weak. They got to, brainwash us. They got to get generations in the schools. That's why it was such a big effort for us to even get options in, charter schools. They still had to comply with the testing of the yada, yada, yada. Then it's a homeschool thing. Then it's not vaccinating in the homeschool, and the Amish got to get vaccinated. I mean, it's just amazing how clear this battle is going to play out, but where does it go? I don't know, but I know what traits it's going to take to be, victorious, to maintain our humanity. for us to be capable of, surviving in the future and whatever challenges we got from they, them, those around the world. This is not just, an American thing. This is a generational thing. So I already know we're on the right side, and I'm not worried about that. It's how much I can help, so we're going to do that. My concern, Tim, and I want people to understand, is when and it's going to happen, what? It's going to be a devaluation of the dollar, and it's going to be an enormous and massive reduction in your lifestyle, in your standard of living. And I hope you got a really nice diesel SUV of the whatever, because that's going to be your vehicle for a while. And then it's going to go into electric, and that's going to be more decentralized. And I get my bulletproof fifth wheel of whatever pulled by a Cybertruck. So I can see the future, and I'm feeling pretty bright. And amongst that, all of a sudden, and we're on Mars. And we're going to have a lot of other tech. And there's going to be fusion power. And there's going to be. The future is pretty bright. If we get this monkey off our back, and it's something that we placed, it's in our minds, it's general public opinion that we can do this better ourselves without the all-seen, unseen, seen, slap you around hand of the man. So that's what I'm counting on, because what's the alternative? That we're slaves? That's what Ron Paul was talking about in 7 and 8, and he's saying, look, if we don't do this now, the heritage, the definition of these very words, we're not going to, the freedom is weakness. I mean, they're going to be, the Orwellian, tell us what it means kind of thing. And I'm going, nope, I see the rising up of, but where everybody in generations have put their money counting on this system, I think it's a big, giant, neon flashing light mistake to count on this system and the dollar. That there needs to be something else. I don't know what. And land used to be, at least I got land, but then it's a liability. Then the man comes in and you're not allowed and you can't, and you owe us. Oh, and by the way, you can't do anything on it. Oh, and you want to make money on it? Oh, you're not allowed to do that, definitely, So I'm just, where do you put your assets? In a house? In what? So
Trump tweet alert. We got a Trump tweet from 2 hours ago that is perfect for this conversation.
Go.
It would be so great if the Fed would further lower interest rates and quantitative ease. The dollar is very strong against other currencies, and there's almost no inflation. This is the time to do it. Exports would zoom! !
They say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
I've got the best words.
Are you
so
kidding
here
me?
he is saying
And that's random.
That was a good one.
The dollar is strong, and we need the quantitative ease. Come on, guys, do it now. You can do it.
For what? Why is we what are they? What? I don't understand.
Well,
is to keep it going? I don't.
To make the stock market higher, you dummy.
So what?
Hey guys, but by the way, keep in mind what a lot of wealthy people do. Their assets ultimately is art. Artwork. Did you see the thing? Did you see the guy with the banana? Did you think of it with the banana?
Did he eat it or something?
Yeah, it was the most perfect, visual art. He had a banana, and then someone came and they took a pen, and on the wall that the banana was hanging on, someone wrote, Epstein didn't kill himself.
No way.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
this all happened.
That's awesome.
This all happened live during. It was like performance art. It started with just this banana hanging, and it was already going for like $20,000 or some crazy amount.
$120,000.
No, originally? Not originally.
$120,000.
No, it sold for $120,000.
No, it's sold, but I'm saying originally it was set up for whatever amount. Maybe it was on 20. But then that was just the banana on a blank wall. But then someone came up randomly and then drew on the wall, Epstein didn't kill himself, right? And then, of course, now you're watching this and you think, okay, well, did the value just go up? But it gets better, because after this person defaced the artwork by writing that on there, then the police came and security came to cover up what the guy wrote, which is the ultimate meta of the police security covering up Epstein didn't kill himself on the wall. And everyone's watching this, taking pictures. So the value of this performance art just went up and up. And eventually, the art itself wasn't the art. There was nothing to sell. The artist, who's some well-known performance art guy or whatever, he just basically wrote a certificate that said that whoever buys the art didn't buy the art. They just buy the right to the certificate, claiming that the concept is on this piece of paper, and now you own it for $120,000. And you sit back and you go, who's going to be paying this kind of money? But you got to keep in mind.
For the attention.
No, it's attention. But people with that kind of money, that is where they put their assets. Because that type of artwork, Irv Homer would talk about it. Why do you think the Clinton Foundation, why do you think Podesta, all the money of the Clinton Foundation was going towards artwork? People who want real assets, they buy shares. They shares in oil wells. They buy shares in Rembrandt.
We're gonna get stinking rich off Teneo. We need to hide our money.
Yeah. Well, it's not hiding your money. It's what they all know to do, because when the dollar goes
you
down,
can hide money in artwork very well. It's very easy to just take art out of the country. Can't do that with $1 billion.
You've been working on that accent there. So anyway, it's assets like that. Not that I have anything some kind of like Rembrandt, but some people I know, for instance, they're buying really expensive comic books. I don't mean some $100. I'm talking about like a $10,000 comic, like Batman #6 or something like that.
I've seen some of your cool stuff. You got some art.
Or like a certain whiskey, because like certain whiskeys will never go bad, and they're like commodities as well. So you can diversify into interesting things even if you can't afford a Rembrandt. But it kind of gives you a sense of what the wealthy, when you're asking about where to put your money, there's gold, silver, land, things like that. But if you look at what the really wealthy do, they'll sit there and buy $120,000 banana certificate, and you think, why are they doing this? Why are the Clintons buying this crap? Because that holds its value over and above whatever gold, silver the dollar does.
Now, I know on the back of this certificate, is he putting in, laminating with it, a picture of Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah, that I don't know.
Did that increase the value?
I don't know. You should check that out. You should.
Now, that's a good story in and of itself.
Actually, so many people who misspell Epstein. Damn, it's like not that hard to spell Epstein. Like Jesus. Like,
is it STEIN or IEN?
It's spelled pedophile. That's what it's spelled as. So
well, how do you spell it?
EIN.
EIN.
I do have to get going.
I know. I wanted to get my last question before you go, Tim, and not to spoil thunder for tomorrow.
Well, then make it a quick answer then.
Yeah. All right, Ernie, you there?
Go.
All right.
Go.
All right, here we go. So, Tim, here's a Trump question, and I promise I won't beat you up for your answer, although you probably will beat me up.
It's already too long.
Because Tim's the Iron Man. No, I want to ask a question. So I know you're in this quandary with your audience often that love Trump, hate Trump, blah, blah, blah. And I'm the first to tell you, I know Trump's not dealing with the economy the way that we would want him to. He's doing something bigger and better for this country, in my opinion.
It's the stock market's stupid.
And well, no, it's not stupid. It's just that in my opinion, we're past that. So let's get past that debate, because I stand by it. But I have a question respectfully to you. Let's say, put that aside, Donald Trump gets in his first day of office. What do you think he should have done or could have done to fix the economy in a way that you think is appropriate for you? Like, what do you think he should have done? Forgetting the fact that even he could have, which is another part of it, when his own party's
You're free, I'm going golfing.
So I'm curious
what
you think he should have or could have done.
Listen to the very first podcast I ever created, right after he was elected, like a day or two afterwards, and I said exactly what he should have done. And I even I even said, listen, I wanted him to win because I wanted him to be able to clean up the mess and not to perpetuate this mess. And so if he does 1,000, let's say there's 1,000 things I want him to do, and he does 999 of them, but the one he doesn't do is the Federal Reserve, then I don't give two flying fucks about the other 999. And then not only has he taken the attention away from the attention that he's now bringing the Fed, people are like, oh, he must be so happy that he's so angry with the Fed. Well, his problem is that the Fed isn't doing the same shit that they were doing for Obama, which is the same crap that he was complaining about before. So now he's making my job even more difficult, because the same idiot, people that, probably the same, jerks that were loving Mitt Romney and trashing me for, Mitt Romney's a great guy and how can you not support him in 2012, are the same, idiots now who are like, oh, well, Donald Trump is, attacking the Fed. And yeah, he's attacking them for not doing the same shit that Obama was doing, which is the same shit that you were mad at Obama's doing. And now you like it because your guy's doing it. You guys all suck. But meanwhile, my strategy, I'm still making money for my clients. So it doesn't really matter too much over here. But for Donald Trump, I think he made a huge tactical error trying to play nice with all these guys and not going after Hillary and trying to be conciliatory, because you're dealing with people that basically, if they could pull a JFK and outright assassinate you, they would, but there's too many cell phones and cameras. And maybe that's a little bit too obvious these days. So now they're going to do everything else they can to get rid of you, because you brought in a bunch of swamp creatures, brought in a bunch of assholes around you. And then now, guess what? You brought in a bunch of snakes. Now these snakes have come back and bite you. So you have John Bolton, Reince Priebus. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. People have names are already forgotten by now. Yeah.
So it's over the Fed. So your main complaint is that, and I'm not trying to, I'm not disagreeing.
Listen to the podcast number 1, and then I said, what they're going to do is what they can do is they can build up this economy underneath them, and they can yank the rug out.
Oh, they're building it up, and they're going to yank.
So your just thing is he didn't do anything to change what was already happening. Is that your concern?
Oh, he amped it up.
Yeah. So by amping it up, and now because I knew, from firsthand retail experience, I know people who were in cash from 2009 all the way through 2017, and then put all their money in the stock market right at these all-time highs. Well, I guess now,
because of Trump, right? Because they love of Trump.
Because of Trump. So now they've been
their
bought.
stupidity.
So now you've roped.
That's their stupidity. If they don't understand,
their stupidity is that they're going off what their Lord and Savior God Emperor Trump.
Don't turn to this whole God Emperor thing. I'm just saying, as a
politician,
politician,
this is the best economy ever. Look what I've done for the stock market. We're going to keep going higher, and it's 10,000.
All right, well, that's
higher,
image. That's
and the
image.
Fed needs to start quantitative easing, and the Fed needs to start printing more money. Come on, guys.
Well, what could have Trump done?
2 hours ago. This is not.
I get that, but what would Trump, forgetting what people's impressions are and all of that, he gets in, what do you think he should have done? Just dissolve the Fed? I mean, that would have been wonderful, I guess. But, I mean, what do you think he should or could have realistically done?
Well, I mean, if you go back to that first podcast and go, listen, he's in a rock and a hard place. A lot of this is like what Bob Murphy was talking about, that it isn't going to be his fault. I mean, you can elect Jesus or you elect Ron Paul. We're not going to be able to fix what's going on. But by taking the philosophical spotlight off of, there shouldn't even be a Fed, and changing the game or the narrative to, we need to have a Fed and we need to have lower interest rates and we need to have quantitative easing. He's taken the ball and moved it over there and now made it very hard for me. So now I can't even get people on the right to agree with me because I think I'm some fucking libtard is all these comments I get. I mean, I could show you comment for comment. Oh, you're just a libtard. You don't know what you're talking about. But meanwhile, at Ernie's house, when you were actually, I think, either the speaker right before, right after me, when I had the Trump effect and why good news is bad news, absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed exactly what's going on. Nailed that they couldn't do this whole, quantitative tightening that's going on last year. And so they're perpetuating basically this Ponzi scheme of an economy that's going on. And it's not doing me any favors. It's not doing your kids any favors. It's not doing your future grandchildren any favors.
I agree.
By doing this. And so Donald Trump, basically should have said, hey, listen, the whole system's fucked to begin with. So why don't we just print a whole bunch of money and we might as well just buy a whole bunch of nice shit before it goes down anyways.
That's my argument. Yeah. I'm like, if you know you're going to go bankrupt, you might as well max out the credit card, And I'm going, and I remember in the mid 90s when the Clintons, they didn't, during the Clinton administration, they closed the federal government. We're not, we don't have a budget and all that kind of crap. And I remember Rush Limbaugh's biggest argument. He goes, if we go bankrupt, if we don't pay our debt, nobody will lend us money anymore. And I'm going, well, hell, that's a good reason for it to let it go right there. Yeah. We would have been solved by now. I'm just going to hell by 6 months later. So this is inevitable. All right. I use the word inevitable. I mean, everything's inevitable.
And I was in elementary school for that example, and here I am, with kids who are going to.
When I say inevitability, am I thinking inevitability of someday, or am I looking at inevitability of before the elections in 2020 of the crash of something big, major? Oh my God! What do you think?
I mean, all you need is one other bank to shift their assets like J.P. Morgan did, or have J.P. Morgan further. I mean, it doesn't take very much to have a house card.
So what? They just got bigger discount. You got 2 years to report on. It's a month you get to borrow the money. I mean, might as well make it, a quarter or a year. I mean, then you got 2 years to go.
I mean,
this
all
could
I
be
need is
gazillions of dollars.
I mean, you have Jerome Powell say 4 or 5 words or a bad tweet here or there, and the whole House of Cards.
I'll tell you when
down.
it went down last time. It wasn't until Greenspan. Now, Bernanke had already taken over from Greenspan. Greenspan comes before the Congress, and he goes, and I guess, I think Ron Paul was up there, and he gets up and he goes, recession. I mean, the fact that he even said the word, when that word was recession, all of a sudden the trigger was pulled, everybody freaked out, and here it went. And I'm going.
Back then, you didn't have the nanosecond bots reading Twitter because Twitter wasn't around back then. Of automatic algo trading of boom, it's over now, which that wasn't around in 2006. So
when do you think there's going to be bank holidays? There's going to be suspension of trading. There's going to be the breakers flip in on the stock exchange. That whatever, and he's going, woohoo! It's higher than it's ever been high. And I'm going.
You don't even need all
anything.
that. I mean, you have the market down 5%, and all the snowflakes in the market now can't even handle that, and the whole shit will just. I mean, if the stock market is down basically at all I would say if the stock market's below 27,000, 26,000, Trump doesn't win. He is absolutely now it's like, oh well, this China trade deal, which is okay. You basically reneged on everything. I mean, I said it a year ago that. I had a podcast called why the China trade deal doesn't matter. And this was, probably 13, 14 months ago. And I said the week that I remember it was like a Wednesday, and it was supposed to be like by Friday, this deal was solidified. And then that was a year and a half ago. And so, here we are, still at these crossroads and nothing been done. Now it's like, oh, we got a phase 1 trade deal. That's a deal to negotiate another deal. And so now we'll come up with phase 2. It's all BS. It's all I do have a client meeting I've got to run to, guys, but I'll be back tomorrow.
All right, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
And I can't go overdrive tomorrow with you because I'm going up to Williams to do some Polar Express train thing with the kids.
All right, cool.
Oh,
The kid's done that before. That's awesome. All right, cool. Talk to you later. Thanks for coming on, helping us, Tim.
See you, Tim. Thank you.
Peace. Okay, this is the one thing I was going to bring up. He missed it because he's not cool. All right. What I wanted to do is I remember this playing out before. Mm-hmm. It was in the book, Executive Decision or Executive Order, Executive something, and Debt of Honor is a Tom Clancy book. Okay, I used to love Tom Clancy, but it got to be there was propaganda. After a while, you go.
Really? I never read the books. Yeah.
It was a really good style. He would have like 3 or 4 characters that inconsequential. They're not overlapping stories of anything. But towards the end of the book, they always came together in the climax of whatever the hell, right? So it was kind of interesting.
When you say propaganda, like America, like Team America kind of thing.
No, his whole thing it came down to where it was so obvious after so many books. I'm just like, I can't take it anymore. And what it was is this: it's not the system that's the problem. But if my hero character Jack Ryan was in charge, everything would be fine. Okay,
it's Mary Sue.
You need You need the right guy in there. If you have the right person, then it would be fine. It's all these bad guys that we need to get rid of. It's not the system that's at fault. It's the people in the system. And I'm going, no, this system attracts the worst of whatever. So once you get that, then it's just propaganda for the system. So I'm just like, I'm not interested. Now, there was one book, it was called Debt of Honor. And what it was about, it starts with this guy that his family jumped to their suicide in Okinawa in World War II, and the child that survived later became an airline pilot that took a 747, and they were transporting it without passengers. Sometimes you have these legs that you move them around or something. And he and a co-pilot, he kills the co-pilot, and he goes in the State of the Union address and just crashes not Air Force One, but a 747 into the State of the Union, taking out everybody. Well, it just so happened, because they had a corrupt vice president they needed to get rid of or something. So they appointed Jack Ryan vice president, and he was in the Soul Survivor thing, like with Kiefer Sutherland doing Soul Survivor kind of deal. So Jack Ryan was sitting off, and all of a sudden everybody died. He's president now. So Tom Clancy had to get Jack Ryan president somehow. So this is how he did it. Well, so that book was all about whatever. Well, then he becomes president, and a couple of things happen. One, he's president, and there was a pandemic attack, and terrorists released biological agents that start, people go to these conventions, they got thousands of people there, they all get sick, they get on a plane, they travel. Within a few days, the whole country's sick, and then what he does is he goes, all right, to save America, we're going to put a ban on traveling that he enforced. Boom. Everybody, just see who dies off and kind of nobody else gets sick. And then he, because he's a good guy, I violated people's rights in the Constitution. So I put myself up for impeachment because, I shouldn't do that. And you should, a trial by, the people. And I'm giving myself up, to the whims of whatever. So, okay, save America and whatever. The second thing that was going on at the same time was, there was that, and then there was the debt of. I think it was in Debt of Honor, or it was in that. It might have been part of the Debt of Honor thing too. But these two books kind of melded together. And one of the issues was the stock market went, and how they did it. It was the Japanese came in and bought all these because they can't trade. You can't be on the stock back then. I mean, now do whatever the hell they want. I don't know, but back then you couldn't have a backbone access to the economy. You couldn't go in and do trades and options and all that kind of stuff because only Americans, wouldn't screw us. I mean, if you're American, you wouldn't do that. So they wouldn't allow this. So what they did is they had some kind of influence or control and bought up and had U.S. majority something that they were able to get into the algorithms. This is when the algorithms just first started really become a thing. This is the mid-'90s. And they were going, Wall Street is now computers, or it will be. This is the prediction. And what they're going to do is they're going to have the algorithm set up for when they want to, they trigger certain things. They do some news things, some buy, some sell, some whatever, and it'll trigger and it'll melt down the stock exchange. And I think that was Debt of Honor because we want to get back at America and Japan of you dishonored us and haha, and here's your payback, blowback decades later if we got you. That was the premise of the whole thing. What Jack Ryan did is that, as president, his wife said something, well, if it's all messed up, just, restart from the beginning. So they go on like the blockchain. They'll go, all trades after this didn't matter. It doesn't count. We're starting over again for when this started and here and we start over. Oh, well, that fixed it then. Okay, it's all great and wonderful. And they just went, woohoo, he saved America because he just restarted from whatever it was before this happened, as if you could do that. And I'm going, all right, well, if that's what they wanted to do and they got the records and they just restarted and what everybody had to hear and how they would even know, that's a whole nother thing. But that was his solution. The problem was what? That the system, what he was demonstrating in this, and it'll be a terror attack and it'll be economics, that you want to get out of America? It's going to be 2001, World Trade Center, the stock market of whatever, and kind of those, and they do whatever. So he predicted what he was talking about. What made me think of it is when he said there are robots trading on news or whatever the hell Twitter and what Trump says. And it is built into the system. When somebody says something or does something, all of a sudden, bam, here it goes. Here's, the trading, the volume goes up or down. It's, they go calls and puts and options of that and the buy and sells and whatever, based on some algorithm that those, or somebody else has got in there waiting for the trigger. And it's not a trigger of people. It's not a trigger of opinion. It's not a trigger. It's an algorithm. It is waiting to be triggered. And if you read Clancy's book, I think it was Debt of Honor, and then the other one was Executive Decisions, Executive whatever. And but Debt of Honor talked about this entire thing of how they're in prediction of this is what we need to defend against, and that they're going to use the access to the markets to trigger something. And I'm going, yep.
It's almost like, HAL 9000, Lawnmower Man, where there's a certain, a consciousness that is, it's like what's the term? I forget the name, emergence almost, but you're seeing it maybe not quite there yet, but with all of with Twitter, with the internet and these algorithms where it starts to, you have an amalgam of some sort of a abstract brain here. And also, in a corollary to this, I'm not in any way accusing Donald Trump of this, but you could almost see someone like Trump being an insider trader or being accused of it, because all he has to do, he's got investments everywhere, and he knows if he tweets X, no one directly is making him money, but the system, the algorithm will react.
Well, see,
and his
I'm
family
wondering
makes the money.
if he's going to be get nailed in this whole thing. I'm how much gold does Trump have? What did Patrick Byrne do? He sold everything, 90 million.
Gold,
I bought gold and silver and a couple of crypto and peace out. I'm just waiting for it to go. I'm over here on the beach, man. When it does,
with his Russian supermodels.
Yeah, we'll be just fine. Models.
Any more Russian? Oh, models.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, we got to go plural here. Where's Patrick? Man, come on.
Hey, Patrick, how you doing?
Yeah, give the guy some props here. All right. So it's so we're going to look back and just go, well, it's like Tim says, I'll just do the episode that I did right after Trump. I already know what's going to happen. Well, hell, every freaking one of our shows is I already know what's going to happen. It's just how is it going to happen?
Right.
They're doing exactly what we predicted. It is going to be enormous expansion of the money supply. It's inflation. This is, here's the word. It's called inflation. Not in the prices. That comes later.
Inflating the money supply.
Inflation of the money supply.
Right.
And I'm going, okay, well, they're just doing it a day. This day, it's kind of a Band-Aid. It's a little bit first day, kind of a little bit. And then what do we find out?
They're doing it every day and a 2-year moratorium until you even know that they're doing it.
And they're doing it where it's not just a daily. You don't have to pay it back for a week or a month. I want to get John Sneezing on it. Hey, John! I want John. Oh, smooth it.
Whoa, thank
right
you,
on,
Donna. Wow.
Donna, ask for John Sneezing to come on and explain this week and month repo Fed thing. Just talk about the Fed overnight month thing. And he's also doing a crypto thing in Winnipeg, I think this summer or something, June, July. And we'll see what we can do to help promote that. And he's going to need some sponsors and all kind of. We'll see what we can do, because I like John. He's a good guy. You guys would be good friends. And so I'm when I found out, it doesn't surprise me. How are they going to do this? So it's going to be a gazillion dollars. They don't know about it for 2 years, what they did, and it's accumulative, and you got a week and a month to do it. I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit!
That's the 10 ticket ride from today's show. I remember asking Tim at the Christmas party, and I know Tim's great. He gets into the weeds a bit with it, which is why I love him for it. And he was just
skip
calm,
to the
saying,
end. Give me a
"This is what's going
sticker.
on." I said, "Wait! You're telling me they're already doing QE? They just changed the name on it, and I haven't heard the neon flashing from anyone really
because they didn't call it that.
Exactly.
They call it the overnight repo market of blah blah.
And they got me because I've been sitting back waiting to make some of the financial moves I privately want to make. I was been waiting on the next QE.
Well, don't wait anymore.
No, I know. That's the point. I mean, they just changed the name. And
silver's down, gold's down, crypto's down. Bitcoin Cash now, last time I looked, it was like $188, and it was like $300 just,
Hey, is there any way that we could, I know, not that I'm trying to tax Donna on this, because every time we mention something, you go, hey, Donna, go get this person. What about Charles? It would be great to have Charles on the air to talk about some of this. This is right up his alley. What do you think? What's he been up to? Have you had him on the show recently?
Yeah, a month or two ago. I mean, we it hadn't been too long, and I saw him
at the club,
at the discussion group. Whenever I did my pirate thing. Well, as a matter of fact, you want to go to the discussion group tomorrow night? I need a ride.
Oh, don't count on it. Don't say no for right now, but I'll think it over. I'd like to go.
I don't count on anything with you. Are you kidding me?
Oh, come on.
I don't count on you be on time. That's for damn sure.
I'm always on time. I'm always on time.
Yeah, what are you, Gandalf? Wizard is never late. He arrives exactly when he intends to. I think the Queen says that too. Anyway,
most on this show. Yep.
So I'm this Japanese story from Clancy's thing rings true on this. That this was 25 years ago. They were predicting that this is how it's going to happen. There's going to be everybody's positioned, everybody's sitting there, everybody all in. Y'all in? Are y'all in? Well, it's ours now. Okay? And they're going to do it with an algorithm that's changes just boom. And it's Monday morning. And I'm going, it won't happen all at once, but it will happen overnight.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this is what I'm talking about. You can see all the positioning. Now, what is the one thing that they didn't have before?
Trump.
The bad guys. Well, hell, that could be Trump too. But anyway, so this is the bad guys. What didn't they have? They didn't have a legal, authorized, certified, need you to do it, begged for, Trump screaming for it, you need to do it, liquidity in the system that they could hide how much you printed into the market for years, and you get not even have to worry about paying it back for a month, a week, a year. And then they have the reserve requirement of how much you need to stave off a bank run, from 20, now 10%, and that's why they need digital cash.
But more importantly, they found a way around what Star Wars wasn't able to do and other issues, and that is the internet. That is the social media channels. That's what's so surprising is that, here we are, the three of us today on this show, kind of illuminating this a bit. I'm sure we're not the first ones. Other people have been mentioning it.
Oh, no, Zero Hedge's been all over it, man.
Well, my point is it hasn't seemed to hit to a critical mass where many have heard it. I think people are starting to. I've been hearing inklings from people around me about similar things, about the banks not having more than 10%. I've been hearing bits and pieces, but putting it together, it's by design. They've made this thing complicated enough.
No, because you're looking at – because quantitative easing, I remember we had to go on Wiki or whatever, look at quantitative easing. What the fuck is that? And I look at it, it's money printing. Well, what's this repo? Oh, it's money printing. Well, what's this inflationary in the treasuries? It's money printing. What is this deficit? It's money printing. This is all just money printing. It's inflation. Well, quit looking for QE. They'll call it whatever the hell they think they can get past Frank.
No. No, but it's the way it's breaking it down. Instead of QE,
money printing,
it's not just the words, Ernie. It's QE was a very specific thing of what they did, right?
No, it's what they called it. They just made up a word.
No, it's what they called it, but they're not doing the same thing now. They're inflating the money supply.
Printing.
It's not money printing as much as inflating the money supply. There's a slight difference there. But they're doing the same thing. Well, they're not printing it. They're inflating it, but they're finding a more. It's like they've got more hands. They're using more smoke, and they have multiple people, more pieces to this to get around it. So it's not that obvious. That's what's different.
To crypto. They have to, so that they can weaponize the money. This is not going to be. That's why in Letters of Captain Mark we're going whoa. This is just going to be. You can use blockchain in this. It's just another link in our chain to the crown. We're going no. If it's going to be crypto, it has to have these particular assets. Traits. So I'm going okay. So we go into Letters of Captain Mark. You go the Letters of Mark, second letter. And this is on cryptocurrency. Now, the Crown uses digital currency as a new tool of predation, granting it unprecedented power to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy our wealth at will. The Crown invades servers, seizes records, intercepts signals, and freezes accounts. So the currency of pirates must possess features to defend against this weaponized money. And I'm going, what are the features? Well, it's just anonymity and, they can't, what do they call it? Immutability. They can't change it. It's got to have records. It's mine. They can't stop me from you. All of these traits, they don't want those traits. They need specifically to code those traits out. And to be compliant with demand, they got to be able to know everything you're doing and be able to flip the switch that you can't do it. That's what digital money is. It's going to be weaponized money. And we had this Harry Haplin guy, a link that we had to a show on somebody sent me, and him going on, what happened? He's a big super geek, MIT, whatever, geeky guy, and he goes, the promise was anonymity and privacy and, and mutability and all this other stuff. That kind of went away. Where did it go? Because those came in and paying all these coders to, code our enslavement. Create another link in the chain to the crown. So here you got like Monero and all these other guys want to be pirate money. It's going to be pirate. It's going to be pirate everything. Pirate decentralization of down to the individual pirate. Pirate. And I'm going to be a freaking. And what happened? A lot of the people over the years, I've been getting a lot of these comments. Ernie, we just thought you're kind of crazy with this pirate stuff. Yeah, you started with you had this whole big decentralized concept in your head, and you wrote some letters, and you had the first letter and the second letter, and kind of all of a sudden we're up to a dozen or more letters, and they're going, I get it now. I understand. I see what you're doing. It's a philosophy. That's the only thing that's going to be up against. That's the only weapon we have against them is decentralization. Quit being on their grid. Be above the grid. This is the answer. I guarantee it. There is no other answer. Your collective is not going to beat up their collective against collectivism. That ain't going to happen. You don't have enough resources, enough money. You will never have enough. And I'm going, it has to go down to the individual as just general public opinion. And that's what this road trip is all about. This is what we're going to do. In another age, we melted the crown's coin and minted our own. We met in private spaces and traded in secret. But in space, physical money requires tremendous fuel to transport. Digital signals are weightless and can be easily sent to frontier settlements. In a digital economy, piracy requires a new currency that is peer-to-peer without third-party observation that can be exchanged using an encrypted signal. It must combine the solidity of precious materials and the fluidity of digital information. We must move funds further, faster, and cheaper than ever before, and make decisions based on an ever-accelerating flow of information. So pirates require virtually instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Now, the reason we put that in there is because Bitcoin was doing this 1 megabyte limit. They wanted to control volume of the transaction, which increased, the cost of it, and it made it, kind of, scarce.
That's when it got bogged down that time.
Yeah, intentionally. To make them, I can see, I'm going, screw them. More importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. It must endure as a decentralized network in the face of an adversary that wishes to crimp it into service. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the crown. Given the choice, a superior currency with these features will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the crown itself. It is no less than that. That is what they're afraid of. They cannot have people money. They can't. And that is the form of which it takes, not digitally, is in precious metals or commodities or stuff. And the thing is, that's why gold and silver, and they got to turn it into paper and whatever they're doing on the stock market, as soon as it ain't going to matter no more.
So,
and you're going to be
I'm not disagreeing with
silver.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm kind of challenging a little bit of your terms. When you talked about getting off the grid or dissolving the grid, I would argue that we're just changing the grid. The grid has been this top-down approach. I think we're just changing to a new grid, a much, much, much larger grid that's from the bottom
that's
up.
Noted to the individual.
Exactly. The individual from the bottom
not
up.
Us on some plantation, not
exactly.
a new collective to be part of, not a club, not a party, not a join, not a subscription, and more Netflix.
It's a grid of your own making based off of the network that you design, the people that you associate with, the crypto or the currency that you want to use, the social influences that you have, and we're going to be so far removed from other people where we're all going to be part of it. It's sort of like, instead of having the brain tell the body what to do, which is how I hate to call the government a brain, but basically that's that top-down approach. I look at it almost like the body again, where if you have your cell in your big toe, or there is a cell that's in your pancreas, if you think about it, the cell is a whole city to itself. I mean, it's like a continent to itself. When you look at how many organelles and things are within a cell,
it's got its own membrane.
It's its own membrane, its own brain, its own everything. And yet a pancreatic cell has no clue, if you think about it, where it is in the network. The pancreas cell doesn't even, it knows it's part of a pancreas. It interacts with pancreatic cells, but as far as it's concerned, that's all it is. It gets influences from the blood from other parts of the body, but it doesn't really know the context. It just knows what it connects to immediately. And then there's the pancreas and the prostate and the kidney and everything else. But as a whole, you have this organism that is controlled not by any one cell, but just by the network, a grid of just interconnectivity, but there's not one in control. And we used to think it was all about the brain, but even now we know the body rolls the brain, the body, and the spirit, and there's many components, not to get too meta with this, but that's sort of where I see the future. And it's the trick is going to be how do we communicate with information, which we will. My only issue, and this is going to be beautiful to watch, is how do we make social policy policies that are more large policies, because if we're all in our own little worlds with our own networks and interpretation of the news and what we find important, or our views of even facts sometimes, how do we all agree enough to decide on something for the movement of the organism overall to go? That's going to be the challenge for the future, without some person saying, we're the authority on news like CNN and this is the official news. Those days are done, and I know that. How we're going to figure it out on our own and vet it is going to be the future. But it doesn't matter, because like you say, that is the future, the decentralization of everything, all different components, and it's going to be a new type of grid, bottom up.
Well, there's going to be any and everything they can do to make that illegal. You're not allowed to be off the grid. You're not allowed to not have that. You're not allowed. So what you have to do is you're going to have a separate, ID and reputation, separate. Because that's one thing we did on Scuttlebutt here. It goes, let's see, among pirates, your credibility is everything. Cultivating renown can expand your opportunities, shield you from false claims, and even earn you a ship and loyal crew. But infamy can get you ostracized, blacklisted, and thrown in the bilge. However, libelous allegations from the Crown are practically a resume at sea. So when you're libelous, meaning written down stuff, your record, your rap sheet. Well, that could be, and you wouldn't get a driver's license, and you wouldn't submit to authority, and you don't have a Social Security card, and you didn't pay the fine of the
4409.
Yeah, right. And you go.
Hey, buddy.
Well, hell, you're part of the crew now. You win. So there are libelous allegations. Hell, that's a resume.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap. Now, the last paragraph here, we kind of sum it up, and it goes, pirates must find a way to enjoy enough anonymity to protect them from the Crown, while also maintaining a consistent identity to ensure their reputation is their own. Anonymous markets are already able to collect pseudonymous reputation data on all users. Aboard many ships, the manifest is available to the entire crew, and often other vessels, to ensure that individuals have a consistent identity that is horizontally visible to other pirates while remaining invisible to the Crown. And the point that we're making, I go, you get on my ship, there's going to be a ship, just like you get on a cruise ship. You're going to have a card, an ID, a biometric logged into the AI of precarious seas, and kind of it's you. You come back, you go, I'm Fred. You ain't Fred. Okay, I'm Jay. I don't care what you call you. You ain't the same person that said in this digital pairing of QR code of hash of whatever the hell. That ain't you. And you are not allowed to get on my... How do I do that? Because I have to know their ID. There has to be that's their person. Well, a lot of libertarians and anarchists, they go, whoa, I don't want to be logged in. Well, they don't come on my ship. I'm not making you. I'm not the government. But if you want to come on the ship, then we all know that you... And your reputation precedes you. Because that idea, as time goes on, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, as time goes on, that ID, that person, that biometric, that DNA, that whatever, is going to be linked to a bunch of reputation of what other people think about you and what people have done. And then you got the reputation of people giving the reputation. And eventually it gets to where scumbag, not scumbag. I want this on. You got to have a social ranking, just like the Black Mirror thing. Oh, I'm sorry. You got to be a 4 point whatever the hell.
And
but that's a government thing set by their standards. I want my pirate standard. And what is that? Well, it's whatever the people say. They're not a scumbag. They're an ad. They're not a subtraction. They're not. What's it going to be? I have no freaking idea.
And you know what? Not to get on one of my little favorite pet topics, but what you're referring to, an independent social score ranking that we choose ourselves, not the government, and this bottom-up matrix, blah, 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 will be the way to finally neutralize antisocial disorder. The sociopaths
you are going to find them out.
They're going to find them out. Right now, remember,
there's going to be algorithm to spot them.
Exactly, because they've only been discovered since 1971, and even then it was debatable if they existed. They were like Bigfoot. People couldn't believe there were so many out there that could be this damaging.
With a shiny badge.
And they're right next to you. Yeah, exactly. They get married to them, shiny badge, doctors, and yet it's because of video cameras. It's because of digital media where they lie to one group, and now it's being caught, and you can compare it to what they tell another group. Because before video cameras and photography was cheap enough, before that time was too expensive, they got away with lying to both sides, and they could pass a lie detector, right? They could tell both sides, and people got confused what the truth was. Now they can't hide from it. The Lance Armstrongs, others. Anyway, not to get into that topic, but this is exactly how they will be neutralized, because with that tight of a grip, again, from people themselves, they can't escape it. And you're right. Scumbag, the ultimate scumbags will be found out. Adam Schiff. Yeah.
So you can see that we thought this through. It's just a timing thing. And it's always when preparation meets opportunity. Well, we've been prepping, for years. The site, the philosophy, everything that we're doing, everything. And now it's time to, it's time. I'm willing to do it. I know Don is not digging it. This may be the last Christmas that we have here in this nice place, but our grandkids have, our youngest is 30, Sierra, they're all doing, everybody needs a little help and kind of, and it's good to have grandma and grandpa around, but, this is, they're okay. They got.
So you're going to be traveling around the country, and is this going to be like your home base on occasion, or what are you doing?
Well, Arizona's always going to be home base because we got grandkids here. That's just,
But you're not going to have even a small little tiny shack or something?
No. Well, we may in the, find a little something in the desert or someplace to put, or, friends that, put the containers or whatever.
I know.
And then we got places all around the country there saying, come stay, park your thing here.
You can always park by Ed up north.
No. Well, Ed, we'll
Ed's
go
got a
up
place
there.
up there.
Yeah,
Ed's got a cool
there's a lot of guys got a lot of places to whatever.
Yeah.
But everybody's wanting to bring their RV here. I got all nice set up in the field out there, and they go, hey, can't we? No. Because I know what'll happen. At least I'll be like moving on.
You don't have to ask this. I mentioned this to someone. Have you ever... I know you've done quite a bit for the community, Ernie, so I'm going to say it. Have you ever thought about putting a plea out or asking from the community of all these crypto people to maybe just if they just throw in a few dollars, a few crypto, you could buy this house and keep it as a home base for activists and for people to come. I mean, it just seems like the community, you've done so much for them, and so many people who are multimillionaires have been in this house and learned and helped and vice versa. I mean, what's this house that has been a base for so many people? What do you think?
I remember one guy, a wealthy supporter, that I just commented on how cool I thought the new Camaro was and the early Transformer, when they made the new body style of Camaro. And I go, oh, that is so cool. He goes, oh, you want me to buy it for you? And you're kind of half kidding, is that what you want? Is that your dream? You want to have that car? Is that it? That's all I got to do, Ernie? You're all good? And I'm going, I'm thinking, he goes, and I'm like, I didn't want to be insulting, but I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with a car? And he goes, you just want me to buy like billboards, don't you? And I go, yeah. You want to support me, help free my future for my grandkids. We'll put it for more activism. It was like Gattaca, where the brother that wasn't genetically altered to be superior and all that kind of stuff. It was all about how, with hard work and the human spirit, that he would overcome all these obstacles and not being special. He was a degenerate, and he goes to his brother. How did he beat him in this physical swimming out in the ocean? And he goes, I'll tell you how I won. I didn't save anything for the trip back. Mm-hmm. That was not, I'm going until I'm drowned dead. One of us is going to be dead. I mean, I'm not saving anything for the trip back. That's how I see this. This is not for me. I'm not saving anything for the trip back. This is head down plow for the next generation. And this is what brings tears to my eyes. I know how bad these guys are. If I don't give everything, I won't deserve the reward for myself and my family. I don't want to die with regret. That's one thing I learned in high school is, it was before the what would Jesus do thing, that what would Jesus do, bracelets and all that kind of stuff. And I already had that concept, what would Jesus do, but and that kind of entered into it in the late 80s, and Donna had been, we got married and started going to church with the kids, and we just, choose wisely, and I read the Bible a couple of times straight through. I read the King James so I didn't miss anything, and then I read the Good News so I could understand everything. And I go through, and I kind of got the gist of it. It was man's best attempt to try and, his understanding of what's what. There's a lot of wisdom in the Bible, a lot of crap too, but I mean, there's a lot of, in general, I'm a big supporter, especially in New Testament. So that, to me, it was not about earthly treasures kind of thing. Anything that I get is always to promote. Every one of the pieces of equipment, all the toys, everything is, it was worth it for the expansion that it gave us and the influence of whatever the hell. That's how I see this battle. I'm not saving anything for the trip back, but I gotta, part of that to get that enthusiasm. I have to promise Donna a period of time. If you do this for a year with me, then we'll go ahead and work on having a place that you can we'll always be in Arizona, we'll always be with the grandkids, we'll always have, a place for us to have Christmas and the family and be, that, because I need Donna. If I don't have Donna with that, because I want that too, but I always see that putting forth all this effort to helping people be inspired to free themselves and their children, that's just good karma, and it'll manifest itself, and we'll be fine. I'm not worried about that. And whenever it gets rough and us making this decision, Donna, she it challenges the faith. I've been through this for we've been married 35 years. It's been like this forever, and it's always, but Ernie, you're not planning. Oh my God! Why? How many times do you got to have the serendipitous from God all of a sudden it just happened thing? How many times you got to experience that? I don't worry about it. Quantum reality. If I was to get this place, it'd be nice. But then I got the upkeep. There's a lot of improvements that need to be done. I got to resurface the pool. I got to fix the kayak. Yada, 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 yada. It's nice. I like this place, but why do I like it? It's got a nice yard. It's got a pool. It's got outbuildings. It's got the segmented fences to be for the animals. I got to go, well, I can do that. I can do it with domes. I can do it cheap. I can do it and have them big and give the way I want and have this one. I just need another 16-foot dome. I got room for that. I can build a lab. I can do that. I can, all kinds of stuff if I had the play. That's why this occupancy thing is such a big deal to me. The only thing in my way is not money. It's not a place. It's not the technology. It's not, how it's going to be powered and water. That's not the problem. It's the Crown saying you can't. And oh my God, you did it. Now you owe us a shitload of money because you increased the value of and kind of fork it over and you're not allowed. And I'm just like, when did that happen in America? I want to know the originalization story of that. So while we're going around the country doing that, I'm going to be bringing up these two things. I own myself and my body, and my children don't belong to the Crown, the vaccine issue. That is neon flashing obvious for a whole bunch of reasons. That is just freaking evil right there. And then the land thing. Because that's how they got to control you. They had to eliminate land ownership. This middle-class America threat of the nuclear family of John Boy, goodnight John Boy, Walton's on the Lone Prairie of Michael Landon or whatever. I mean, this concept of America. And they're lying to me. Because what got me, I go, the Declaration of Independence started this whole, well, hell, I'm in. Yeah, proper rule of government, defense of individual rights, don't do that. Time to alter, abolish, right duty. Boom, got it. So what the show's called this, let's do it. You're lying to me. You're saying America, and what I'm supposed to be supporting, this America Inc., whatever the hell it is in support of that. And it's not. You are the enemy of that. And I need to do everything I can to demonstrate that, or I can't have a home. It's not my castle. It's not what I can pass on to my kids without them taking it or getting their cut, or I got to do this trust thing that'll go away. I mean, it's just they, them, those are sons of bitches. So you're saying that, well, don't you think it'd be, yeah, Donna's thinking the same way. Hey, man, what do we got to do? Can I have a nice place here? Well, and you're just a slave here then.
Yeah, but I'm not meaning it as much as it would be beautiful. I'm sure this audience would support just to give you security, but that's not even what I mean. I mean just having a place that is, like, your home has been open to this movement since the Ron Paul days, your prior home, and then the workshop.
What did I always say? It was nice camping.
But I mean, you have things as demos. I mean, every time someone comes here, you're freeing minds. You're showing them things that you can do between the agriculture and the domes and the nanotubes and your radio show, and not to mention a way of bringing people together and networking. I mean, this is beyond just the home. And with the collapse that's coming and what the culture that's being unified, rallied around, thanks, Mr. Trump, and some other things. I had to throw that in there. But, there's so much going on in the nationalist populist movement around the world that we've talked about. And this is the time where the culture does matter. And this is, I mean, your home has been ground zero for that. Not to get too personal about this because no one's listening to the show, right? But anyway, I just wanted to chat with you about something it's something to consider. You can still do, your van tour, but, to have a base that you've put so much work into for people to come during that time. It's like the Ron Paul years. We're going to come into that again.
Well, I don't see it as a response. I mean, it would be nice. all right, fine. You guys want to give me a crap load of money and pay for my house, whatever, peace. Thank you. But I mean, to me, it's like a bill. It's a tether. It's a ball and chain. It's a monthly, expand kind of. They want to sell this home. The guy that owned it died. Okay, and we've been renting for 7-8 years. I mean, this is because back when we first moved here. We could have bought it then. That would have been a good time if we were going to buy something, and so it was, things were cheap then. Donna's a real estate agent. We knew what was going on. Our kids started buying homes at the low. It went up. They made money. They sold. Now they rent. Now they're looking again. It's going to, when it takes a dump and the edge goes off and it loses 20% or something, may go 40%. But I mean, when it loses 20% or something again,
that's what I'm waiting for.
They'll do it
thing.
again.
Yeah.
And, you didn't buy a home. You're waiting. You're trying to, and now it's not the time. You're just like, screw it. Tim sold his. He got some bank. Now he's going to buy again because I know it's always, domestic bliss and wives yelling and screaming about whatever, and then you get to say, I told you so later, so there's that. But yes, this would be a very nice place, but I would rather come back and people give me a bunch of money to buy it a year from now when it's a lot less. So, but then it'll be gone. Whatever. I like this area here. Yeah, this would be a nice place. But that's not what flips my switch. I want freedom to do what I want. I don't really have it here. I mean, you have it. It's more than most, I mean, you got to get your permit and your crap. Like when we upgraded our electrical for our mining operation over here, you had to go through the crap and all that kind of, So they're just, and then the neighbors all pissed off because the big transformer started going. And,
well, the thing is, I find it amazing. Most of you have not been to Ernie's place here. Is his beautiful home, or if you're from the government, it's a compound. It depends who's looking at it.
It's not expensive furniture.
No, I know. But what I mean is,
it's just it's a nice place.
It's like a ranch house. It's a nice big ranch home. Yeah. And the thing is,
IKEA.
You have
Walmart.
so much. Yeah, but that's not the issue. You've got so much room here, and zoning is great. There's horses all around him, and the neighbors have horses. You could have horses
There's
here.
2 acres.
You got
in
chickens, and peacocks, and I mean, most people don't have the room to explore what you're doing. I mean, the dome. You have a little garden on the side. You've got a couple sheds. You have. I mean, you just
have
a barn. You've got so much room to do and explore things. You got a giant satellite dish out there, an RV. I mean, you're always
We've experimented a lot of stuff that we want to take somewhere.
Exactly. But that's
why I want to keep all that. I accumulated that for a reason. That's why I need.
But where are you going to bring it? Where are you going to stick it? If you sell everything
in storage containers, we got 2 storage containers. I'm going to organize and get it. So when I do go someplace, boom, I got all the stuff to build it. I don't want to reaccumulate. I already know what I need. I got it. I'm going woohoo. But that's not the problem. The problem is the crown. I have to subject and sign, and I'm just not. No, if it's going to be like that, I'll do something else. We'll in a trust of rent to buy the do to kind of. The only criteria that I have is that we have a home in the Arizona lower desert here around the Phoenix area to be around our children and our grandkids. That's just a thing. It's our whole life has been to enjoy that and to provide for them and to help the future. And fortunately, you've met all my kids; they got it going on. Every one of them. They're just their families are doing fine.
Yeah.
We wish we had. Wow, you have like cars and houses that all have air conditioning at work at the same time. You guys win. Woohoo! They never grew up with that. We were poor. This is so we worked hard on them getting a good education. We worked hard. We sacrificed. I mean, we were push starting vehicles for them to go to private school, literally. And a lot of people helped with that. The Arizona School Choice Trust and different, grants and Christian tuition assistance programs and everything we could for our children to be where they are now so they could be good parents so we could be grandparents. I love our life. But the focus was that. It was the grandchildren's future. That's what it was. And if I could breed them out, the bad guys, by having our children and grandchildren, that is the win for me. All this other stuff is just, for them. But my win, I love being a grandparent.
Well,
this is awesome.
Look, I'm probably getting way too personal thing offhand, but you have a life that so many people would love to have.
Yeah.
You got a grandfather. You got like 5 billion grandkids. They all love you. They're all smart. They're all Thanksgiving. Everyone's here.
We got debt, though.
You've got your.
I got credit card debt. I still owe some tax debt. I got,
all
you want to help me, give me a bunch of money, and I'll just pay off the man. But I'm not going to sell my silver to do it. Wait.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, you're here in Arizona. It's a great state for all these freedoms. The house, you have a lot of things that you can do here. Your family's all here. And just to be able to have the holidays and have people come here and your family, not to mention, you have 2 families. You've got your own family and all these people congregate around the holidays. Then you have your political activist family.
Yeah, you going to come for Christmas?
Yeah, well,
yeah. We had a good time.
But you've got 2 whole families, and it's like a hub. And that's what I think Donna's probably concerned about. Because you're talking about the crown, but at the end of the day, your family is what's important. To be able to have a home where you can enjoy that time. A lot of people would give anything to have that. So.
What Donna is lobbying for is that no matter where we are, that she gets 12 trips a year. Once a month, we get to come and spend and hang children and party and update and part of their lives and stuff. And the other thing is how you communicate. Well, it's going to be, you got to do a lot of Facebook. And I'm like, hell no. We're going to have a different way of we're communicating family. That's why this IPFS and the pirate boxes and all that for the family. I am not going to, have the most intimate, the man knows everything about everything of where we are and how. I hate that. And for exactly these reasons. This is stupid. And I've had a lot of friends that travel the country. A good friend of mine, he, for whatever reason, it was North Carolina. And he'd been living there for years, and we went to visit him. He's getting older this last summer. And Don and I made an effort to actually fly there just to rent a car to go visit him for, an afternoon and the next day and do a radio show. And it was Rick Tompkins. He was state chair here a long time, a big influence on us, and friends with some other friends of ours. So we wanted to go see him, before. So we go and hang out. And the reason he moved, it was beautiful. And the prices were amazingly cheaper. I mean, your fast food, everything's $1. Your pizzas are $7. I mean, it was just cheaper. I'm going, what the hell is going on? Why here? What happened? What's the difference here? And I think it was a lot of government stuff. It was just regulations and stuff there. That's why this anarchist libertarian moved there. So I'm going, I know the impact. What happens? And he went walkabout. And all he did was go, and they lived in a converted van, live-in van thing. And he went and golfed all around the country. He's a big golfer, so he just went golfing. Where's the next golf course I'm going to? And for whatever reason, he just kept North Carolina. He just kept coming back. Boom, and he finally got a home there. Staying, it's a beautiful place. So I'm going, okay. Where might ours be? Well, I guarantee one of them's going to be Arizona, wherever grandkids are. Because everybody's like, Ernie, move up here. I got a lot of offers for us to stay places. You can be part, because they know we're an ad. They know we're a hard worker. They know we're not going to be, subsisting on the, generosity of others, that we're going to be adding to the whatever. So, New Hampshire, of course, is all on my butt. We have, Idaho and Washington State and Colorado and Arizona. Everybody, we want Ernie and Donna. Why? Because they know we'll add to it. To the point that, how much I got to add? Whoa. I want to sit on my butt and none shall pass and do my own thing. What about that? You want to come help me? It's under contract a deal on my precariat ship. Whatever it is.
Oh, that's going to be the beginning of your ship. That's what this.
Absolutely. It's going to be Pirate Cove, a code or something.
Exactly.
It's like Bob and I, we go up to Jackalope where it's going to be the Pirate Cove. We're going to have, hey, you're not allowed. We got this yellow tape that we put around these trees here. There's our pirate, ship of, none shall pass or something. I don't know. We can do whatever the hell we want. So the thing is that Jackalope, we got the power thing down. We got all kinds of stuff. The only thing that's limiting is water. So what we're doing, because it rains a lot during that time, at least a little bit every day. So our whole thing is we're going to be setting up the water thing in the showers. Because what we're going to be doing is you can take as long showers as you want. Because we've got all these IBT totes. What do you call them in? Whatever. These big liquid water holding cage things. And we're going to take them up there empty because they're heavy with water. Take them up empty. And then we set up big tarps and we just fill them bad boys up with the rain. So we're going to be showing how much can you collect with rainwater. So that's just one little project. And we'll go up and travel around. What's going to happen? I don't know. Will people support it? Probably. Will people say, hey, Ernie, peace out and thanks, and here's a bunch of money? Maybe. But all that money that came to us through the Levolution went into all this equipment that you saw, the workshop that we had, all of the development and everything. It didn't go to us. We're negative. I mean, we build up a little credit card here, bill here, and then we try and pay it off. So yeah, it would be nice to have a bunch for us, but I'm not saving anything for the trip back because I know better. It's just a philosophical thing that I know I'm going to do everything I can, but what I give to all these young activists, you got to pace yourself. You got to be there the next day and the next day and the next day. So yeah, we need to accumulate some for us. And a lot of the audience in that regard, they have been generous. We've had people that give us some crypto. We have people, but we use it for stuff. I mean, we expand freedom. The only thing that I keep that I don't sell, I don't use, precious metals. If somebody sends me silver or gold, and the only thing is I needed a few extra coins I was willing to give for to make it $200 from $150 to commit Boston Tea Party writing the occupancy book. I still didn't get a commitment from him. I still got to bug the crap out of me. Now, let me think about it. So I'm always magnifying the support. When people give me something, I go, well, let me tell you what I'm going to do with this. Boom, and it's a big, so then they give more later. Boom, we do another thing. We just keep parlaying it into...
Oh, you stretch $1, all right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get lots of stuff done. Like that printer right there. That was a gift from Mark Victor when he upgraded at his law firm. We always wished we had a freaking collating Super Rico, kick-ass copier. And then one of the toner pumps went out, and I don't know what the hell. Donna's in here. I need your help. And I come in here. She got the thing apart. I mean, it's like, I'm going, whoa, man, are you sure you know what you're doing? So I need that little, but she couldn't get this one. So I finally helped her and change and do it. Now it works. That would have been $1 billion away forever if Donna wasn't, I can do YouTube. Donna's a kick-ass, man.
No,
she take care of business, So and we still got the attire, the jacket, Captain Mark's jacket I want to work on over here. And so all this stuff has to be put on hold. I go on the road. But what's more important? That the people, while they understand that the government has lied to them at the most base level, destroyed their families and the future and their children, and they know it, and they did it for money because you're just livestock, we have to take advantage of that awareness. Take advantage in what way? Well, they're going to want somebody on the left is going to scream they need a new government department of whatever the hell, and I'm going, no, that is the problem. We need to go pirate, and we're going to, just a mindset. Now's the time. Now's the time to do it. I can't think of a better time. We got Bumper Hornberger out there running for president. The Mises Institute is, all over that, and they're going to be, hammering on whatever the hell's going on in the LP, the scumbags or whatever there. We just had Bob Murphy on today. I'll have some of the other guys on. Let them know that Bumper, Jacob Hornberger is going to be on the show Friday. I'm telling you, once they push the Ernie button, I go, and now it's, Ernie and Donna button. We got to add Donna in there. But I'm just going, you push the Ernie Donna button, shit happens. I go, are you sure you want? I always tell the people, what we need and kind of we'll fund the FBI. I'm going, be careful, because once you push that button, it be pushed, okay? So I just sent these guys we had meetings with last week and everything. I said, hey, man, I just wanted you to know, you're the ones that pushed the Ernie Donna button, and this is where we are already in 3 days. Boom. Rock and roll and whatnot. You push the button. Are you sure you want to push the button? Are you sure you want to push this button?
In case of emergency, crack glass.
Well, they broke the glass and pulled the lever. So I'm going, here we go.
All right, well, I got to get going in a bit before I do, and I appreciate this nice conversation with that. I was curious myself, and I think much of the audience. I figured any of the audience that's still listening after how many hours of doing this probably are pretty good friends with the show, so they probably wanted to know. I wanted to throw one kind of a different topic, but kind of plays in. Maybe you can make it in your road tour. When you have some downtime, there was a show on Netflix that I can't believe I watched, and in retrospect, I'm glad I did. And it's about polygamy. It's this new show about Mormons, fundamentalist Mormons, and it's called, what is it? One man and 3 wives or something like that. And it turns out that it's about a group that's there up in Utah, and they live away from everyone by this rock. They call it the Rock. It is the most gorgeous scenery I've seen. And with Utah, Salt Lake City, the beautiful, snow-capped mountains. But then there's deeper, closer away, or I'm sorry, further
like
from the
Monument
mountains.
Valley kind of
Monument
thing.
Valley, right. And all in the same scene. It looks like Sedona with Seattle, with the mountains in the background.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Well, they bought this land, I don't know, 50 years ago. This one guy's grandfather was a polygamist, got out of jail, decided to get away from everyone.
Is it a reality show? Is it real?
Yeah, it's a real show, reality show.
Okay.
And so basically what happened was that this group, I guess, was starting to get in the crosshairs because of some other show done on polygamists about 5-8 years ago.
Big Love or something?
Yeah, it was something like that. It started to become, more sensationalized. So then a bill was passed in Utah. They started pushing it through. I guess Mitt Romney was part of it, whatever. The conservatives started pushing for an anti-polygamy bill. And from their point of view, from the polygamists, to them, they did everything legal, because what they do is they marry their first wife, and the other two wives are just
sister wives.
Sister wives, they're just to God. So legally, it's nothing wrong, right? They're following the law. They even live away from everybody. They deal with the stigma. They just want to be left alone. And anyway, they wound up passing a law anyway saying, well, all right, maybe you got around the legal, but if you even cohabitate and you claim even spiritually that these people are your wives, then that's illegal too, and you can go up to 5 years or longer in prison.
Oh, bring it on.
And this whole bit. So then they tried pushing it for the legality. It was postponed for a bit, and then eventually the law was passed to make it illegal. And they're still fighting it. Looks like they're playing this little hedging where they'll grandfather you or whatever. But what they decided to do very smartly is say, hey, media's our friend. Let's make a reality show, a respectful one, and show what it's really like. Because what they realize is the reason that
What do I care what it's really like?
The reason that people were pushing for this polygamy bill was a lot of feminists who were getting involved saying anyone who's a polygamist is this barefoot, pregnant, stupid woman. Well, not stupid. Let's just say they've been brainwashed.
The men are outnumbered in his own house. What the hell else do you want?
and this idea that the women were victims, again, so that was the mentality. And so the women were the ones angry and said, no, get the damn cameras, come here. Right. We'll show you who's a friggin' in charge. And it was astounding to watch how beyond normal, and I hate to sound so ignorant saying that, even I was surprised. Not that I didn't think that they were just slaves to the man, but I was surprised. I thought they were more like where I grew up in
They had good reasons.
In Lancaster County, where back in Pennsylvania, where you have the Amish and the Mennonites. I thought they were just a bit more conservative that way. They weren't. They were dressing up in fancy, sexy outfits. They're partying and dancing, and it was like the Amish when they'd go out before they would come back and they would do their roundabout kind of thing. But I was amazed, and that's what they wanted to show. And in many ways, they weren't, the men and the women there were not doing polygamy because like some guy scammed women. Woohoo, yeah, I got away with this. This is my dream. Believe it or not, it's work and it's commitment to God, because these women are not doing it because it's not all about sex at all. It's really about
getting their planet.
It's about, it's a different mindset. It's actually work and their dedication to God and what they're doing.
I went up to the what they call the Northern Strip. North of the Grand Canyon is where Colorado City was, and was it Jeffries? There was all this polygamy stuff. When I was doing radio in about, it was like 04, 05. And it was big story news, and they were going after, they were taking advantage of the school system and how they were making money. And because you can't legally marry them, you got single mothers with children living there. It's really your sister wives, but they qualify for food stamps and all this other crap. I mean, you really built the system if you want to. But there was that group, and then there was another group. It was called Century City that moved out of that. That really all the homes and the land belonged to the church, and if they didn't like it, they just muscle you out. I mean, there's all kinds of problems. Well, there was another group called Century City that were the guys that no, I want a polygamous Mormon fundamentalist life of whatever, and I got money, and I'm over here outside of their crap. You guys do whatever. They're two totally different, groups. The reason I went up there, they were talking about, all the, underage brides, it's a pedophilia thing, and they're not letting, and there was a bunch of that crap going on. The problem wasn't that this was going on. What the real problem was, and the women were complaining, was not the polygamy. They were complaining that the church elders were marrying all of these women and having their 30-something wife so that their husband couldn't get his second or third wife. They were going, whoa, 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 where's my sister wife? I need some help. Man, what the hell? All these other people, they're going their part now because I don't have. The women were complaining that they weren't, getting access to these sister wives, that it was going to all these rich guys that controlled the church.
Right.
That's what the problem was. And I'm going,
It's always the same.
And it was always another story. Well, the big story is the reason, because their faith is, in this particular Mormon whatever, is that you have to have at least 3 wives before you meet the qualification to get your own planet in the afterlife. That's what the deal was.
Oh, is that right?
Because they got this, cosmic view of something. So I'm going, all right, whatever. So it was never what the media and the government, the newspapers and television, it's never what they say. It's always some other BS, and they were and what always came down, it was a government thing. The government subsidized poor behavior and all the crap that they were doing, so they did more of it. And if they didn't like, some young man that was coming up and showing some independence, they literally would drive him into Vegas or was it St. John's or something, and they'd just drop him off and peace out, and you're a little shit, and you're not part of the community anymore. That's what would happen.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up is, first off, it's just a neat show to watch, and I would recommend anyone to watch it. One Man and Three Wives, or One Husband, Three Wives. It's brand new on Netflix. It just came out.
But I canceled my Netflix.
There's only 4 has that ever stopped you? Anyway, there's only 4 episodes. It's interesting the way it's also a little clever and crafty how they did it. There's only 4 episodes, 45 minutes each. And the first episode focuses on the polygamy part, right? It's what grabs you and brings you in. And my better half kind of liked that part. It was like drama, ooh, they're trying to interview for a third sister wife and, that kind of thing. And so it's more of the tantalizing part in the beginning. The second
I got a lot of questions I haven't asked.
The second episode winds up becoming more about showing the problems of what's going on, and showing them as more
getting outvoted all the time.
and showing them as more like human beings and regular people. The third episode begins showing some of the larger issues that come up, where you start to care about these people, and it's strategic the way they edited this, because in the beginning it's let's see this guy have to deal with these women and and scandal. But by the third episode, you don't care about the polygamy part anymore. You're actually you're kind of like bought into this as human beings wrestling with real issues. I'll give you one example of one of the men. He's got 3 wives? 2. He's got 3 wives.
How many families are they're talking about?
There was about 50 people that live in this community, and half of them have more than one wife. So not all of them have more than one wife, right? So, but this one guy,
others are in the market.
This one guy, he's got 3 wives, and his brother, who's more like the hotter of the brothers, but turns out, well, it's amazing. That's the thing. This one guy's a really dweeby guy, and he's got like 3 gorgeous women with it. And you sit back and you're like, how'd that happen? But you realize when you get to know them, this is a testament to God. It's not about trying to hook up with
the women are
people.
Also marrying the other women. I mean, it's a family thing.
It's complicated, yeah. But what happened, and just give you one example, by the third episode, you see this larger problem. You start to see the dynamics of the women themselves and some of the insecurities they have when there's a new, younger sister wife that comes in, and how they will interplay. But then this one brother's brother, who had 2 wives, turned out he died of cancer. And on his deathbed, he asked his brother, he said, look, when I die, can you please take in my wives, because I want to keep them in the family. Exactly. So now you've got this issue of, if they showed this on the first episode, it sounds funny and tantalizing. By the third episode, you realize how much of a strain it's going to be, because the 3 wives already are sort of having some tensions over things. And then you have 2 more wives that out of the blue are being, should they be part of the family or not? Is it going to destroy the first 3 that are already there? But if they don't get married into that family, well, you need another man to take them, not to take them, but, in this community, it's not like you're working at Starbucks. The men are working within the community. And that's the other reason I wanted to bring this up. It reminds me of some of our people that would listen to this show that have their own or off the grid. These people are off the grid, and in 50 years, Ernie, you got to check this out. They used dynamite and blew into the sandstone like Mesa Verde. Their homes are inside this gorgeous mountain. And
did they get a permit?
I don't think they got a permit. They are so far removed, and they have solar panels everywhere. I mean, they create their own graveyard, for their own family members. Just just how much talent it takes, like Peter Bigfoot.
You know what
to
happened?
Make this society.
It was like watching Gold Rush, and this last season has been the man. And it's all about permits, and you're not allowed. And you got and kind of man. That. They've been on there. We need to make sure that America knows that it's a permit thing. Damn it. So they're really going after it. The you have this Mormon sister wife and all the drama that goes on with that. I got a bunch of questions, but my sister is Mormon. The whole side of my mother's family is Mormon. They were part of the Lehigh invasion in Mesa from the 50s. Mormon. I mean, I'm Mormoned up, man. I got it. But my dad was, atheist, freaking hated, whatever. So so we came to Christianity on our own. My sisters and Al, we our own thing. But the just research and so on, because you had freaking. Everybody, but you better have an answer. I said, okay, I'll just read this Bible thing. You guys just chill, and I'll let you know. But what happened was my grandmother that died when she was, her mid-90s, and her mother died when she was like 101 or something. So genes lived pretty long. And she goes, you have to watch this PBS documentary. There was a PBS documentary that was on the origination of the Mormon religion and how it came west, the young man and Salt Lake and all the history and the good and the bad and all that stuff. So I watch it. Where the polygamy thing came from, and this is how it was, to me, is the prophets, the head leaders of, and I have seen the light, and we need to have a bunch of women. Okay, why? The reason is they were persecuted so much, the men were being killed off left and right. So you left these widows, and in the Bible, you take care of the widows and children. That was how they did it. Polygamy was a thing. The Christianity, whatever, this was this monogamy thing. I don't even know where that came from. You cleave to your wife and everything, but they were all talking about all these, other wives and stuff that you had. Why? It was the way that you didn't have widows and orphans. The point is that the people, the prosperous, the alive, breathing in and out men, they would take responsibility for their brothers' wives. Now, it was like mandated that they did. Yeah. So this is not a new thing. Well, where did this come from? Where did they go? No, you're not allowed to do that. They sure as hell don't want a big family unit. It's the crown. It's always this. The free market always. You read "The Moon is a Harsh Mistress" by Heinlein. And it's about, instead of Australia being the penal colony for the British Empire, as for the Earth, it was the moon. So you got this penal colony on the moon, and then, of course, they can't come back so they're free people to do whatever they want on the moon, and they have all these different kind of marriages. And they would have, polygamy and line marriages and, yada, yada, yada. They come up with all kinds of crap. So it was, if you just leave it alone, and by necessity, it'll have its own thing, because they don't need a permit. This is it. It's so I see this future coming, and with blockchain has the ability to do a lot of things that you don't need government for. Proper role and the kind of where's my land, and they want to get you off in these however many super cities of you got to live there and do whatever the hell we tell you, and the rest of the land is controlled by the elite of we're just waiting for you to die off. It's so bad that. It's now. This pirate thing, it's now. What is important, what's the proper rule, and it's America. And if it wasn't for America, who else even knows that it could be done?
Right.
Who else even had a history of it was done against the most powerful known military entity on the planet, save God, was freaking the British Empire. And the U.S. said, middle finger, kiss my ass, we're doing it anyway. Well, they Oh, they don't want none of that.
It's in our DNA. So I got to go, but I want to just point out to finish up with that polygamy show is the first episode is like more scandalous on purpose, get you in. Second, third episode, so you get to understand the people and you forget about the polygamy and you see them as human beings. And then the fourth episode is when it gets into the weeds about the law. It's funny. I was complaining watching the show.
I'm still wondering about the sex. I want to know. Can I take care of all four at one time or something so I don't?
You can
have
watch
to,
the show, but
do they get into that?
You can watch, yeah, a little. But they get into the. You can watch the show. But what I'm thinking,
it never came up when I interviewed
when
these
I was
people.
watching it.
Care.
Savarda was like loving the first episode because it was all about the relationship part, and I was bored. Going, I want to know more about the technicals. Like, how do they get around the? How are you on television if polygamy is illegal? I was trying to figure this out. By the fourth episode, then they show you how they all had to go to the Utah State House and petition and try. You could see the permit issue, which is the area that many of us are interested in. But it's not about polygamy. I mean, it is. But to me, the interest is the man again, about lifestyle, about decentralization of doing whatever that someone wants to do. And now with communication, and they were smart. They got a really good editor. They got a reality show crew. Whoever paid for this, I'm curious about. But it's so well done. You get done watching it, and it's like hell. I'm like for these polygamists. I want to sign up and give them money, for their next legal battle. I mean, you see them as real human beings. It's fantastic. You see how they're living off the grid, solar panels, chickens, doing everything on their own. And so I got to say, since you're doing your roundabout, your walkabout, I should say, with your van,
Definitely.
You might want to swing by.
Definitely.
You should swing by those people. It would be fantastic. It's beautiful. It's one of the most, I told Savarda, and she almost hit me at first. I said, these people have it perfect. They almost have a beautiful life. Now grass is always greener. And of course, she's giving me, threw the pill at me about being polygamous. But the thing is, aside from that part of it, they have all family around them. They're away from the man as much as possible. They are in a place that's like Eden when you see how beautiful of a location that they're in. They self-determine themselves. They have culture. They have their own faith. They have unity of a family. They have so much. And you sit back and you say, wow.
What killed Colorado City, you could see it when I went up there. I was sensitive. I went up with another guy, John Crockett, I think it was. He was another libertarian candidate for Congress here. Oh, I don't want that. Okay. And he and I went up there, and I could see what was going on. When the next generations get older and they want to have their own home, they just take a blade and they just extend the road and they just start building a house out there. But it belonged to the church, and they had the control on who got the. That was the problem with centralization. It always is. If you just let it go and it'll find its own equilibrium. But no, it was they didn't give us permission to have another wife. What? Where the hell did that come in? It's always collectivism. All right, Frank's got to go. Peace.
Have a great Christmas if we don't.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. I can say it because I can.